what's up, y'all? Kofi Kingston here, and I would love to have a drink with Wrestling on the Rocks, depending on what that drink is, preferably non-alcoholic, you know?
How's it going? I'm the Celtic Warrior, Sheamus.
Soda.
And I would love to have a drink with Wrestling on the Rocks.
Maple syrup.
Fella.
Welcome and cheers from us here at Wrestling on the Rocks, guys. It is a fun time to be alive and a great time to drink, all things considered.
I was going to ask, have you been drinking since November 1st?
Oh, I haven't stopped drinking since November 1st. So I'm glad you asked. I'm at Ref Marsh Clump. Go ahead and say hi.
Hi, I'm Krabby Big Clump. I'm at Krabby Big Clump on Twitter. I don't go on Twitter, so if you're communicating there with me, I hope it's not important. You know, like, I hope you found your daughter that's missing, because it's not helping either.
Why would they ask you where their missing daughter is?
I don't know. I also don't
but
know
that's
that.
But that's the majority of your messages.
Yeah.
Amanda, we do have a special guest. Yet again, a return from Miss Amanda Jane. Amanda, go ahead and say hi.
Hey guys, I'm back. You can find me at Ms. Amanda Jane on Twitter and Instagram. I'm kind of silent because, I don't know, I'm just watching the Twitter world explode. And it's funny.
Twitter is on fire all the time. And this is the one time a year that all Twitter worlds collide, which makes it interesting. So I'm drinking. Let's go into what's in your glass. Let's get that. Like I said, I haven't stopped drinking. I'm chugging down Gentleman Jack. For the show, I think I'm going to call it Gentleman Colfax, though, in honor of someone I work with who does not drink, who said I was his favorite. So, Clump, what's in your glass?
There's another sober person you work with that said that they're your favorite.
It's weird, right?
Yeah, I'm kind of offended.
It's crazy.
Well, I got Squirt, which it should be Mellow Yellow because, you know, Dusty Rhodes, but it's a bitch to get Mellow Yellow out here.
It is, and I have a feeling that you were not talking about soda on either of those two things. The other weird thing, not only did this person say I was their favorite, they said it as an insult to someone else. So it was like a two-time. It was pretty good. You know what I mean?
I think I've done that too.
Yeah, it's great. So, Amanda, what's in your glass?
Well, what we did was we have an alcoholic slushie today. So I took the lovely Sonic cherry slush, Route 44, and I put some Malibu in here. So, woohoo, fun time.
Route 44 with Malibu. Does Route 44 go to Malibu? Can you imagine what
cherry slushes go with anything? I wish Sonic would bring back the pineapple because that was really the best with Malibu because there was real pineapple in it, but you know.
Oh, I can see that.
They brought out pickle, so that was supposed to replace that. But obviously no one likes pickle.
They replaced it with a pickle?
Yeah, it was pickle flavored. It was disgusting. I like pickles.
Sounds awful.
Yeah, I like pickles and I tried it and it was just gross.
I was just wondering, I thought the irony would be great is if Route 44 actually went through Florida. It doesn't. It goes between Connecticut and Rhode Island. It does go right through Hartford, which makes it ironic that you're drinking this on not a WWE episode.
I guess so.
It goes right through the headquarters of WWE. Love it. All right. How you guys doing? How you guys feeling? How's everyone?
Good. They have like 5 different blue slushes that are indistinguishable, other than they taste drastically different.
Mm-hmm.
Can you imagine working at Sonic and like 5 people come up and they order the 5 different ones and you have them all on the table and you have to give the right ones to the right people?
I mean,
the first thing, at them.
Yeah, the first thing I thought of looking at this is I could ruin people's day, and that made me very happy.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, I think they claimed they have over 1,001 different combinations of slushes.
Plus, they have a grape one, and literally, it's like red, blue. Like I'm looking at it, just shows like 6. It shows red, blue, and purple. I'm like, I could just mix these and make these frightening.
Oh yeah, it could be very, very frightening. Like they had, they did ones with Red Bull recently. They kind of were very gross tasting, and then even putting alcohol in it, that was not very good. No, there's just something about I don't know what it was with it, but Yeah, Sonic it can be a very interesting, scary place. But when they did pickle and there was some other weird flavor that they did, yeah, no, people were like, no, go back
Yeah, it
to
sounds infuriating.
yeah.
I don't even like sandwiches with pickle. If I had a drink that tastes like pickle, fucking furious. I remember being at a party once and a friend came over and said, "Do you like pickle juice?" I said, "That's awful. That sounds disgusting." And he goes, "Oh, because we're having tequila with picklebacks." And I was like, "I like the flavor of tequila more than I like the flavor of pickle juice." And he goes, "Oh, okay, that'll work." So
There's quite a few wrestlers that drink pickle juice. Yeah, I don't why I don't know.
I mean, I guess mostly vinegar. Either way, guys, Wednesday night is a night full of wrestling and deserves to be chased with alcohol every week. And this week was no exception.
Even for me?
Imaginary alcohol?
What do you mean? You do something, and I don't want any details, but there's no way after watching all that stuff you don't have to do something or intake something like maybe you double down on some fries or something, maybe you just have a good cry, but there's no way you're taking Wednesday night straight up.
Yeah.
That much I know. Let's get into the news and then we'll go right into it. So I'm going to say this about the news real before we get into the other news because it's all pretty much AEW stuff. But first and foremost, Mission Pro Wrestling this Friday, which if you're listening to us live or watching us live on twitch.tv/wrestling on the rocks, it's tomorrow. If you're listening to the podcast after the fact, it is November 6th, Friday, which could be today even. So missionprowrestling.net will be streaming Tournament Out of Hell on TitleMatchWrestlingNetwork.com. We are sponsoring it because it looks like a stacked card and looks really good. They've already said that there's a few people that were not announced who appear to be showing up. So there should be surprises as well. And that's the day before AEW Full Gear. So I say check out Mission Pro Wrestling. It's owned operated by Thunder Rosa, and we couldn't be bigger fans of hers to begin with. But and it's an all women promotion, which is really great. Oh, and Amanda, you were looking at that too about their custom matches that you really like the look of.
I'm excited to see what offerings they're going to have.
Yeah, this will be a good one. And since you guys are on our show, we do have streaming codes now for our show and our brand, so you guys can all definitely check it out. I'll get it to you guys, not the listeners. The listeners got to go pay, dude. You got to support. We will have Dork Chop on the floor out there, and that'll be really cool too to have someone representing.
Especially if they're not WWE fans, definitely something they should be.
Yeah, if you're watching AEW because you just outright hate anything WWE, then Mission Pro Wrestling could definitely be an outlet that you're not getting from AEW. You know what I mean? I mean, we'll go into it, but there's not a lot in the front of much exposure from the women's wrestling division there. So if you hate all things WWE, Mission Pro Wrestling on top of your AEW might be the perfect combination, man.
Yeah. Have you guys checked out the Universal Wrestling that's kind of been affiliated with NWA? I know it's not on a lot of platforms, but I'm just curious.
I've seen some of the Primetime Live, right?
Mm-hmm.
I've seen some of it, bits of it. Actually, one of the refs out here who goes between California and Arizona, who I kind of was like under his wing there for a little bit. Actually, really good ref. He refs for them over there. He's reffing a bunch of their matches.
Yeah, they have some good stuff.
Are we talking about that thing with Herb Abrams who died?
No, that's the UWF. But Herb Abrams also adopted the UWF after it was already a thing. He did that to just try and get notoriety right away. And isn't it the UWC now?
I think it's UWC, maybe. I don't.
Yeah, but it's also not
Marquez
as related.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's David Marquez is the one who's running that one now, and he's tremendous. I think he's got a book out now.
I think he does too.
Which sounded awesome. It said something like how to succeed in wrestling while doing almost nothing. And I was like, what? I like the idea of someone saying they walked ass backwards into all this. That stuff, gets me excited. I was listening to the Sam Roberts podcast this weekend, an interview with Josiah Williams, the rapper from NXT. and they were talking about Rob Schamberger, all these like fans who basically carved out a niche to a point where WWE said, we'd like to hire you on to just be you now in existence. And I mean, those three guys represent that, I think, better than anybody. And they kept talking about, sort of like wondering when people are going to find out. And they're like, do they realize they're just paying me to show up and be me? And this must be a mistake. And they kept talking about cream rises to the top. And so I was saying that I'd really like if we could change that to curds float, because I'm much more of a curd than I am cream. You know what I mean?
I'll eat a cheese stick to that.
Yeah, she's having a cheese stick, and that sounds good.
Yeah, I see Kelly eat that after you're saying curd.
Yeah, a lot of people eat curds.
It's too close to curd.
It's a Wisconsin thing. Wisconsin.
Yeah, but when you say it, it's
Curds are good. Curds are good.
Yeah, see, they're supporting curds.
Yeah, they're what you put on poutine.
You're just afraid of the after effects, the after curd.
Yeah,
Yeah, curds lead to frightening turds.
they're not.
Yeah, she's like, you don't have to live with this.
That has been a positive of 2020.
Yeah, that's true. That's the best thing that's ever happened to the guests on this show, is that it's remote now.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just plug in Sam Roberts. He's an inspiration, our goddamn role model, we say online all the time, because he's just a fan who somehow is able to be a professional fan. So, in the news, though, Cody Rhodes is officially Cody Rhodes again.
Mm-hmm.
Did you guys read up on this at all?
No, I didn't know that.
So he announced last night after they went off the air, or during a commercial, because he wasn't, or was he at the end? I don't remember the layout. I think he was at the end. But he said that he officially has two names again, and he no longer has one. He goes, whether Justin Roberts will say it or not is another thing, And then he said in an interview today that he doesn't think he will continue. He doesn't believe he will add Rhodes to his wrestling, but it is a moniker now he can use for his outside of wrestling stuff, like that Big Show. Yeah. But they had already been marketing him as Cody Rhodes. And the thing that I'm really confused about is he's been saying since AEW even kicked off that he owned Cody Rhodes. Because there was a whole thing online that happened right before AEW where people were like, this is bullshit with all this. Cody should be able to use his name. And he was like, hey, guys, relax. I own the name. I can use it whenever I want. I've made the decision not to. WWE doesn't own it. So then I'm just confused now. It's either he was lying then or he's gave misleading information. If he's now saying, well, now I can as of this morning. Well, what did all that other stuff mean? So I think there's just, I guess I apologize for saying he had to have been lying one or the other, but it is really misleading at best. And I feel like a lot of things that they've been saying, especially in the press leading up to everything, was incredibly misleading too, based off of what we heard later. But to me, that's the weird bit. Were you guys also under the impression that he had the rights to Cody Rhodes or no?
I wasn't under the impression that he had the rights to Cody Rhodes. I remember him in interviews saying that he'd rather go by Cody to separate himself out. Like the interviews I remember him hearing were him talking about how he was more than that, or using that as that component of it. I don't recall him saying he owned it. So, and I would say, again, and this goes to our motto, we don't know shit about contracts. There's very possibly several different manners of owning the copyright to a name, or there might be multiple copyrights to the name in different capacities.
That's true. The music we have was licensed for like video games and some sort of other sorts of digital media. And it was like when it was given to us, the person said, oh, I licensed it in a way that allows freedom for it to be used on something like a podcast, but no one else could use it for a video game because of the way it's licensed. So if I made a video game, we couldn't use it. Yep. But using it as a podcast thing, he said it'd be fully licensed for that. So like you said, yeah, there's different areas of trademark for sure. And when I was trademarking the name of the show, I was seeing stuff like, I think I inadvertently trademarked it as a name for a chemical compound at first. Because there's all sorts of like name trademarks you can get. So if we ever come up with our own chemical compound, we can own the name of Wrestling on the Rocks, the chemical.
We don't get contracts.
Yeah, I
It's
don't
like
understand some of it.
Spaceballs, the hockey musical.
Yeah. If we ever got our own whiskey, that's probably how I would make this is our new chemical compound.
I was gonna say, is alcohol technically a chemical
It's a solution.
Goddamn right it is.
compound? Speaking of this whole thing, I thought that back with AEW in their inception, or whenever it was it that January,
Yeah.
after that one BTE episode, when they started trademarking all of these different names,
Yeah.
that they were filing those things. But I was always under the impression that Cody didn't pursue that because WWE owned it, or was basically like, well, it's ours, so.
And that might
But
speak
I don't
to
know.
the middle of it, like, because I think I don't recall him pursuing it, but it also I don't recall him as saying he had it. So maybe it's some combination of all three answers.
Yeah. Yeah, no,
And it
maybe
makes
it is.
sense. I was going to say Jericho kept saying something about, well, Cody has been a man of his word. He hasn't gone back after the big title. But Cody
Yeah.
Rhodes, on the other hand, and I was like, why the hell are you? That's a dumb comment. God, yesterday he annoyed the hell out of me. But I'm like, why would you make that kind of comment? But now that makes sense with the name. Now
Could be, although he did say, because he did that press conference thing, that he would not do that. He said that he mark his words, he will never go for the AEW World Title because he saw the kind of grief and stuff that it caused his dad. He doesn't want to be any part of that, which is also weird because
The
his dad being a
AEW
champion
World-
was a big deal.
And I don't think his dad went for that title in specific.
Yeah. Well, I'm reading something about July in 2020. Looks like WWE was filing for the name here and there, and I guess yesterday WWE withdrew their filing for the name of Cody Rhodes. And so Cody did tweet out in July 4th, 2020, it's not as sultry and scandalous as reported. It's just business. They've seen the same data we have, and they know they can make big money off the brand, even though it's not in their house. Trying to license me is flattering, but it doesn't stop this train from moving. No grudge. I guess I see what he's saying there too, is that like people are Googling Cody Rhodes, and as long as they can keep making their product pop up when they do,
Yeah.
it doesn't matter if he's doing stuff under AEW, it'll still boost the time frame he was in WWE as well.
And that is a fair point too. I mean,
Yeah.
I know in a prior job that was a big thing we struggled with was how there was a copyright claim for the city name and the manufacturer for one of our dealership groups,
Yeah.
where it directed to a direct competitor who didn't even have that manufacturer. It's like,
Oh.
whoa, if you're searching Tucson Jaguar, it shouldn't go to Tucson Subaru.
Yeah. It shouldn't. Yeah, for sure. So I guess that's what it looks like, is that they were keeping. I wonder if also part of it was he just didn't want to have the battle with them, and I wonder if it was like you said, trademarking the use of certain things. Patent and trademark office and trademark. I bet you there is layers to it like that, where it's all like, well, I can use it in some regards, I can't use it in others. Like maybe you could use it in any form that just wasn't pro wrestling related. You know what I mean? Which could be why he was allowed to use it for the Big Show, because they were definitely promoting it as Cody Rhodes. But why he would still be Cody on the show and come out with Brandy Rhodes, his wife, and then get people to go, wouldn't that mean? You know what I mean? Yeah, I don't know. I don't get contracts, man. I don't understand contracts.
Boom.
Yeah. But it's interesting and it's cool, and if he's happy about it and the fans are happy about it, I've got no personal complaints. I'm not like, how dare he? Can you imagine?
I mean, I'll think of a personal complaint, but that's just for the future.
Yeah.
it gives something for people to argue about on Twitter.
Yeah, it does. It's cool. I also think it's notable that WWE pulled away from it. They had the filing. They could have kept it, but they're still like, nah, let them have it. But WWE is still the evil monster who had it from them up until now. So it's like tug war, I guess. I don't know. It's cool to hate WWE, and everything's good as long as fuck Vince McMahon, right? That's where we live. The other thing I had. Anything else you guys want to say about Cody? Cody Rhodes?
Cody or Cody Rhodes.
Yep.
Either or.
Actually, let's talk about this because he had the press conference today. Before we go into the other stuff, let's talk more Cody. Let's just get all Cody'd up. What were the two things he said today? He said that he was asked directly what he thought about the build for Sheeta and Nyla, and if he was disappointed in it. And he said no. And he said wrestling fans are conditioned to believe they need to have a story for everything, and that's not how we're gonna function. We just hope they have a good match.
I don't know if I like that.
I know I don't like that.
I know you don't.
Yeah.
Like that's an interesting way to say we didn't do the homework.
It is. I think it's a really interesting way to say, like, wrestling fans are conditioned to give a shit, and we just really don't function that way. We don't need you to be caring about these matches or interested at all about them going into it. As long as the move for move combinations goes well and the choreography is without a hitch, you should pretty much just like it, regardless of any emotional investment. That's what it felt like.
Like there's
Because I've said it recently, and I'll say it again while you compose your thought, because I felt like you were trying to. I'm more interested at this point in a great story than a great match. I've got plenty of great matches I can go back and watch all the time. And if I watch an AEW show and all I say at the end of it was, that was a bunch of good matches, I'm not going to say that was also a good show. Like, I mean, when we think about even like Hell in a Cell, what was some of the stuff we loved the most? Roman and Jay. There was almost no wrestling. You know what I mean? It was just compelling stories are more interesting than good matches. And a compelling story and an emotional interest is what takes a good match and makes it a great or iconic match. Like Shawn Michaels and Ric Flair. That match isn't legendary without your build to the match. Go ahead, Clem.
what I was gonna say. I think in the presentation of this match, um, why it's upsetting to me, it speaks to what is upsetting with AEW's women's division overall, which is it does in a lot of ways feel like an afterthought. I think that they have talent that's fantastic. I've
Yeah.
seen people do great matches, but the part that frustrates me is more than WWE, these talents aren't featured. They still feel like you know, it feels like classic WWE in the worst way.
Yeah.
It feels like your storylines are, get out of the way of the boys, and that's fucked up because honestly, I'm not really invested in a lot of the storylines. So you can't tell me that we don't have room to give Chris Statlander or Hikaru Shida or Nyla Rose some time on the mic versus Miro and Kip Sabian, or
Or how about that Kenny Omega fucking music video?
yeah, that was
Oh no.
You know what I mean? Like that could have been shaved down just a tone for them to give some time to one of the women.
yeah. Or we could have got rid of that Chris Jericho MJF thing and just had, I don't know. I would have been cool if we did 5 minutes of dead air and somebody just staring at a camera.
Just Tony Schiavone eating chips at the desk.
Yeah, we had something. You trust me, you're happy. This is better.
Yeah, but didn't they had like 2 or 3 they had 3 segments promoting Paige and Hangman.
Yes.
Or no, Paige is Hangman. Paige and Omega. They had the Kenny promo, they had the Paige promo, and they had that fucking music video. Go ahead, Amanda.
I have a feeling and a theory on why we saw 3, because that was not necessary to have 3.
Yeah.
I don't think so. But I think that what they're teasing with the free agent goes in this match somewhere.
So you think they're trying to absorb it in so much of its own little story that you'll never see it coming there. It would have to be somewhere else because why would you interrupt such a fully fledged story?
Exactly. Like it's got to be something that is out there that 1, it's not going to piss people off, and 2, nobody's going to see it coming. The only people who can see it coming are people who've been wanting this. And so, because I have a theory, and I'm probably wrong, but I'm pretty sure I think I know where it's going.
You feel confident? Okay, we're gonna get to that in just a minute.
But we'll
The
get to
other,
that in a minute.
yeah,
But
we'll
I
get
will
right to
say,
it. Go ahead.
with the women, you know, I really wish that I love Vicky Guerrero. I've always loved Vicky, and have
Yeah.
her, you know, say excuse me in Japanese to Shida was amazing. I just wanted to say that because I thought
That's pretty funny.
that was the best thing. But like with having Vicky there, you know, I mean, I would have loved to along the way see more of Vicky and Nyla, and you know, and what they're kind of doing. Like what's up Vicky's sleeve, you know? I mean, because this is a totally different thing for her because we're all so used to seeing her with men and you know
Yeah.
being the cougar and all this other stuff of now you know you're aligned with probably one of the most powerful women on the roster, so what are you
Yeah.
doing, but what's your payoff in the end? And not only that too, but it also would be really nice to go into seeing with like Brandy and Red Velvet, because that's a very interesting kind of pairing, and
Mhm.
they kind of are alluding to some kind of, you know, little bit of a backstory, but you know, now that with Vicky brought some heat into that, so it's like, are you gonna make a storyline out of it, or are we just doing this because that's Cody's old lady?
Yeah, I feel like they're constantly putting people with Brandy to give them the rub, but it's really doesn't make any sense because Brandy's never been established as an actual star. She's just someone who just keeps showing up, shoehorned into everything, without like much purpose or guidance.
Yeah, but this time it looks like something that you can actually, it's believable that you can put Brandy into something that would make her, instead of look like, oh, she's the boss's wife, but actually it's someone that's a little bit more respected and legit, if that makes sense.
I mean, I hear you,
I don't know. I mean, she's
but
still
time will tell.
But yeah, but that would be an interesting, you know, way to really kind of develop the women because, you know, like Abated, like where the hell's this bitch? She just is scary. She shows up and then, okay, she's gone again, and then she'll come up.
Oh, Abaddon,
or whatever her name is, Abaddon.
she was significant. She was injured on a Dark episode.
Oh, okay, well.
Yeah, because she was supposed to be there for the Halloween thing or something, and then she just got her windpipe crushed or something crazy. I think she's okay, but she was hurt, and they had to pull the match from Dark.
She's scary. I mean, she doesn't have to talk. I mean, I look at her, I'm like, oh, yeah. I don't know.
Yeah. No,
There's a lot of good storyline out there, and I really think that with the women, they have good opportunity, and I think that
and they should. I mean, and then what was they had a Dark Order come out with Anna Jay and no Tay Conti. But the last time we saw Tay Conti, she joined the Dark Order and was going to be like Anna Jay's underling. So why, you know what I mean? Like, I just thought that was a missed opportunity too, to even just get like small exposure. Like, that doesn't have to be about you. Just being out there with them is like, oh, they're building a team with women. Like,
well, they don't even have her on BTE when they do their stupid Dark Order. I don't even know what the hell it is anymore. It's just like,
I don't know either.
So I don't know.
The other thing Cody said on this thing that I thought was interesting was that he said that he had actually come up with a big elaborate plan on how he was going to announce that he was PWI's #1 wrestler of the year, and come up with this whole thing he wanted to do, and then he came out and he wasn't #1, and he was like, oh, never mind. But I felt like between that and, I mean, and first off, did anyone think it was going to be Cody when people were rumblings about who it was going to be? Did Cody's name even like come up?
I mean, yeah.
As top 10, yeah, but no one said that for one, right? No one's like, oh, it's going to be close. I know people contested it being Moxley versus like an Adam Cole, and I remember hearing Adam Cole, Moxley, Jericho. I remember being tossed around. I thought it should have been Bayley, even on the men's list. But I forget, there was someone else who I thought came around too. Was it Jericho?
But one of the Japanese, like, no, not Naito.
Yeah. What's his name? Evil. Yeah. I think he came up. So I mean, all that stuff made sense, but Cody's name wasn't even rumbling. So the idea that he can be, and I try to be nice about stuff, but it comes off kind of delusional to me that like He honestly thought he had the best year of every other wrestler in the entire world. And on top of that, doesn't see anything wrong with putting up to women's championship matches with absolutely no build, and says, yeah, the fans are wrong for thinking they should have story. It comes off really like, it also comes off like to be really easy to understand why they keep responding the way they are to critics. When critics say you guys are not booking the women's wrestling well, and he goes, what are you talking about? We're doing a great job. It's the same guy who's all like, what are you talking about? I was the best wrestler of the entire year. No one had a better wrestling year than me. I'm a shoe-in. And everyone's all like, who the fuck is this guy doing the old GIF thing? You know what I mean? So it makes sense. It made it all made sense to me. What do you think, Clump?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with what y'all are throwing out there. Like it is weird to throw that out in an interview, dude. Like to say all this stuff, and I don't see. He's a competent wrestler. I don't see him on as wrestler of the year. Shit, a lot of people had fantastic years. Keith Lee, um, I don't. It's weird. And
Fiend wouldn't have surprised me.
yeah,
But like you said, he's a fantastic wrestler, great promo. He's probably the biggest star in AEW, whether they like it or not. But he's not booked as, he wasn't the strongest booked in the company, and he wasn't the one everyone was talking about ever. Just because he had the capability doesn't mean he was on show. Amanda, what are you gonna say?
Well, I don't know if it's his whole, well, hey, I had this belt and I was letting people come and, challenge me for it. It was an open challenge and that should make me number one. I don't know. He's always been to me, I think of all the EVPs when they started kicking the can around on AEW, was the one that I always thought was, it's more about, it's an ego thing than anything. Because you get the Bucks who are just so like damn humble, I mean, they know they're good, are they going to say they're, we're the best in the world? No, that's what Uncle Dave is for, to blow them up. But I mean, they're very, very humble. Even Kenny in his own way is very, very humble, but none of them are just out there like Cody, like, this and this. And I think he's the one who really got the money backing and got Tony Khan involved. I never like got into all of that politics of it.
I believe he was the one who made the first like kind of waves about it. He was the one who pushed. He.
I thought it was the Bucks.
I think it was the three of them, but he was very strategically put so front and center, and I think it maybe is also the combination of who is the face of this and who can talk, because I don't think the Bucks work as a face of a company like Cody does. So
they're good Christian Bucks.
Yeah, I think Cody was who the Bucks brought in right away, but I think the conversation started with Tony and the Bucks. And I think when they thought, hey, this might actually be a real thing, this guy might not just be blowing smoke, then they're all like, let's call Cody. Because like you said, we need a face.
Yeah. And I think that's where that ego comes in. Like, this is my company and, la, 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 I should have. Like, no, dude, it doesn't work.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of cool, the idea that someone thinks, oh, AEW's success means my success, and in a lot of ways that's true, but when it comes to list the people with the most successful wrestling years, it's going to be more about their wrestling than it is about their business partnerships in the back, right?
I would think so.
We're talking on screen, I think. Clump, do you have something else you want to throw in there?
Nah, I'm good.
All right, just making sure.
I just sought to answer my own question because I was like, wait, they're Christian? So yes, they are.
Yeah. Yes, they are.
I watch a lot
speaking.
of BTE.
What?
I watch a lot of BTE.
Yeah. Speaking of the Young Bucks, the last thing I had in news before we really start breaking apart the show some, Matt Jackson, they said on I think it was the Observer one, they said that he's got a torn MCL and a thinning ACL. And he sent out a tweet today saying like, oh, thank you guys for your concern, but I've been cleared by medical to continue the match. And I was like, I don't think anyone thought you weren't getting cleared, regardless of any of the rest.
What's a thinning MCL? You can, like, is that like male pattern baldness for your like muscles.
The
Maybe
ACL's your knee, right? Or is it your
cartilage
ankle?
maybe is
Yeah,
like
it's like the
getting
cartilage. Like I think it's what happened with Naya. She had no ACL. Like it was just dissolved into nothingness, just dust. And with him, I think it's thinning, so it's like you need it there. It's not a good injury to get when it tears or breaks or anything like that. And so if it's thinning, then I think it just means it's weakened, which means you're more susceptible to significant injury that can be career ending. In a lot of cases, is. But he's been cleared, luckily. So he can have his match this weekend. That's good. Great news. Clump?
Yay!
just means that Nick is going to be the workhorse, I guess, doing all the. I'm pretty sure none of the real extreme stuff of what everyone wanted, FTR and the Bucks, that's not going to happen, obviously. So, but I mean, who knows? I mean, I'm kind of, to be honest, like, I'm shocked it's taken this long in his career.
Mm-hmm.
Because, I mean, I've seen some brutal Young Bucks matches throughout the years, and I'm always shocked that, like, God, one of these guys hasn't been put on the shelf for like an extreme amount of time, or
Yeah.
done something that's career ending. Because I know, especially Mama Buck, I know didn't like them doing PWG because they sacrificed their bodies so much. So that's why when they did their last one, that was it, no more. And so, I'm really shocked that it took this for something.
I
Who knows?
wonder if, I mean, you could lean into this. Talking to a friend of the show who trains wrestling, we were talking about how he was going to have a match with like an injured shoulder, and he was going to be in this one-on-one match with his trainer, and he was talking about ways that they were going to go about protecting the shoulder. And then we started talking about old school wrestling and territory days and old stories I've heard from all these old timers who have their podcasts now, where they talked about being in matches with straight up broken bones and broken ankle, and you know how they were able to work a match in which that body part was not exposed or ever hurt or even ever touched, but how the fan didn't even notice because of how you do it. I think that if anybody's probably capable of that, it'd be FTR. I mean, those dudes are as safe and sound as it gets, I think. And I think that they could actually tell the story of them grounding the Young Bucks, where every time they go for something, they reverse it and bring him back down. So, like, instead of him landing on his knees, now he's going to land on his back because he got caught in midair. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, if I always like, I don't like hearing, I'm going to be cleared because even though I'm hurting this, I get it, but part of me feels like maybe, as we advance, we can say, yeah, we'll pull this back and approach it later on, because in part also it creates creativity to me. Like we can approach this in a different way and talk about this in a different way and have more build up to it.
Yeah.
Maybe makes one bigger. But sorry, if it were a team for them to go against, absolutely the FTR working in a safe as a safe team would be perfect.
Yeah.
I wonder who's going to rep it. Usually they have Knox repping their stuff, but we all know with Knox sometimes some of his judgment can be, questionable. But I really think that because of the relationship they have with him, that, well, even Paul Turner to a certain extent, but if I go back to like think about ROH, like I don't think Paul Turner did a lot of their matches. But definitely it's going to be a very interesting thing to watch. And if other people are also going to be kind of around and in their corner, trying to cover for anything that may or may not happen.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I think that, I mean, I don't think the build for this match is fantastic, but I do think that this, in a weird way, makes me slightly more interested in how it's going to go. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Even FTR said that they weren't really thrilled with the build to this match either.
I don't think this one really needed build. This is the one that everyone's been waiting for. So it really didn't. I don't think it needed. However, they probably could have done a better job with it with BTE, as they've done in the past, with building anything with FTR, before it was even a thing. So, I mean, I'm surprised that they didn't do that. But then again, BTE is not the same.
I do think it's the one match that people have been wanting since they all got started and everything. But I also think that, like I said, I'd rather have a story than just a match. Like, I want to get to that match, but I also want to care when it gets here. And at this point, it's like, yes, I want to see it. No, I don't really care. You know what I mean?
I get that. I
But
think good.
yeah, no, I mean, but I think also as a testament to them catering to their specific audience that they don't seem to budge from. They get that around that 700,000 an episode viewership, and they're just comfortable with that. And I think that it's their lack of trying to make people care more as opposed to just explain a story a little bit than that keeps them from really spiking. They had like 860 for that musical and have not gotten above 800 since. They just context. Go ahead, Clump.
I was gonna say, I mean, I think I agree. Like, I think just there. I don't know how you could build this more. I feel like part of me always wants more of the BT stuff to be referenced or brought into the main show because, and I watch BT occasionally, but it feels like so much of what I'm supposed to care about goes through there. And while that's awesome and creative, um, when you're watching so much wrestling, I wish that more of it got brought onto the main shows because there's a lot of, I mean, beyond what we've talked about, like we'll go back into this week. Did we need the three segments for Hangman and Kenny? And I hope that I hope and don't hope that we have that finish for this reason in that match where we're not going to expect it, but there's also other ways I feel to build up that excitement. You know, maybe have one longer segment than three, medium-sized segments. So you still get some time for something else there. And just give space for these other elements because it doesn't. I know this is an awesome, important match. I'm excited to see what happens, but part of me kind of feels like, like this is it, you know?
Yeah.
That's just
Do
me.
you think? Let's just go ahead and just talk about the match. Do you guys think that Young Bucks are gonna actually lose and never go for the tag titles and start showing up with there being the elite titles they had made, or do you think? They win this one and try and show that they're the best tag team in the world?
It's a toss-up, honestly.
Yeah.
I think because they've built such a really good tag division, and when you watch Dark, there's a lot of really good teams that aren't really in the hunt. So I have a feeling that those BTE titles or whatever titles they had made or whatever, there's no way I think that they'll have just one set of titles for tag because there's too many good teams out there. So that's where I'm thinking that it might, they might not get that one, but they'll have something. I mean, but I don't know. I mean, that's really hard to say, especially now because of the injury too, because that's a really big thing. Because that's an injury that, I mean, you could possibly be out for a year, and and that's a hard injury to have, and especially because if he's out, well, I mean, his brother really doesn't do they don't do singles, so that would be kind of odd. So I kind of see them maybe losing, and then Matt does his thing, and when they come back, there it is. Or I mean, who knows? But I think there's just too much talent on that tag side. That
Do you think their tag division is so deep that they actually could serve to have a mid-card tag title too?
Absolutely. Because when I see those little rapper guys that they just signed, those like hilarious people, I'm like, oh my god, okay, there's a team there. And then obviously you have, everyone loves best friends. I mean, so they could possibly do something where they have that, and you can see the different combinations that they're trying every week on Dark. So it only makes sense, I think, to have that deep of a division, because there are some really good tag team wrestlers that are there.
Yeah, Clump, what do you think?
I agree with that. I think that if anything, I'm surprised it took them this long to have a mid-card tag title, because it makes more sense to me than a TNT title. They have so much of the foundation of this company is tag team based, and has such a big role. Yeah, have something there, and there's a lot of different ways they could build it. I think a trios title would be really cool. Just something different, unique. They definitely could support it. They have the talent, and it would give more space for more tag teams to showcase and kind of hold court.
Yeah. Well, maybe. I know they said they weren't going to be the kind of company. They were shitting heavily on WWE during their Double or Nothing press conference about how many titles WWE has. And they said we're never going to do that. So I think if they did do that, it'd be really interesting to me. Although here they are 1 year in, and they now effectively have the world title, the women's title, the NWA women's title, the FTW title, tag title, and the TNT title. So they sort of have 6 belts floating around on their show.
Are they planning to throw Aldis in there?
Aldis, yeah, if Aldis shows up, then you got that too. But right now, you have the NWA Women's Championship on an AEW talent going out there and showing it off. And even I saw a commercial for an AEW. I was watching a different program. I think we were watching just a different channel for, I don't know, I was watching just TV, and it was a commercial for AEW. And they showed Serena Deeb holding up the NWA Women's title, and they never showed Cheetah or the women's title at all. So that's an AEW title as of right now. Until something else happens, that will only be associated with AEW until something else happens. So
and
they kind of have 6.
No longer with NWA, or contract ended.
That's
so
true.
I would love to see it if they sign her. I really would.
You'd love to see what?
I'd love to see it if they'd sign her, because she'd add a lot to that division. Because Impact's so stacked right now that another woman would be lost over there. Even though, yes, they lost Kylie Rae, I think that another woman is just it. Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah, we talked about that on the last show, but it was not with you guys. Did either of you have something you wanted to say about the Kylie Rae thing?
I do. I hope that they take the time that they need to get to where they want to be.
Mm-hmm.
Whether or not that's in professional wrestling. I'd love to see them in wrestling. Anyone in wrestling, that's awesome. And they had a great, awesome persona. They were one of the first people I really was like, oh, so excited for coming into AEW, because I liked their character. But as somebody myself who has struggled with mental health issues, one of the things I thought of when this all came to light, that they are no longer a professional wrestler, was this a situation where somebody left, was trying to get better, felt a challenge, and then was offered a space and thought, yeah, I can do this, I feel better, and they didn't really address what they meant to address or what they needed to address. So now, they feel more pressure, they feel worse in some cases, because you left and you can't leave, and it's getting worse and worse and worse. And honestly, I just want them to be happy wherever they go, whatever they do.
Yeah, I think it raises a lot of questions, and obviously we can speculate as much as we want, but nobody knows, and none of us knows. And I don't think she owes it to any of us to explain herself by any means, but it does make me ultra curious. But at the end of the day, it's because, like you just want what's best for them at the end of it. Amanda, was there anything that you wanted to say about it?
Yeah, to me, it says a lot that her characters, she's always very, very happy and very positive. And to kind of know in the background that this is someone who's suffering from, who knows, and it's really sad. And to me, it's really telling that I know that obviously, yes, we had a loss earlier this year with a woman committing suicide, and being teased and whatnot, and getting to that point. And I think that, there's no shame in saying that, okay, maybe this isn't for me right now. Maybe I need to work on myself. And there's no shame in that.
Yeah.
And I hope that she's able to battle her demons and is able to, like Clum said, be happy, because, it's really, to me, it's very sad because I see that and I'm like, man, that's a lot of pain you're hiding. Because
and
if
she
you
brought
look at her,
absolute
you
joy
have
to
that.
her fans.
Yeah, and you wouldn't know that, there was something going on, but, it's like you never know with a lot of people.
Yeah.
So sad.
Yeah, you don't. And we definitely wish her the best, and we hope to see her down the road if that's what she wants. But if not, that we're all very happy and pleased with everything that she gave us as fans to begin with, even,
Yeah.
I wonder if part of it, I mean, again, this is all blind speculation and this isn't going down a rabbit hole, but the last thing that happened was she was supposed to be on Impact in a match against Diana, and the match had to get canceled for one reason or another, but Impact never announced it, and during the pay-per-view is when you found out, and there was a huge backlash online of people being very upset by that, being like, I only tuned in to watch this, and I feel like they've taken my money. Like, there was a whole lot of negative backlash for them not preemptively before you purchase the pay-per-view saying this match is going to be changing. It's not going to be who you want. And I wonder if a lot of that negativity just affected her poorly, man. I mean, that stuff is not easy to brush off all the time.
I mean, one of the biggest hallmarks of a lot of struggles in mental illness, especially when you're in a public eye, is this feeling of ownership over things that you really don't. You become more that you get your ability to be a person taken away, but it's really within you, and it's so hard to go back to that and say, no, I am me, I am okay. So yeah, I could see that definitely not improving the situation. I wouldn't want to go back in if I felt like that.
Yeah, like, Christ, I can't be sick one time. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. But either way, good luck in all things. The show itself, I know we've been kind of like just darting all around it. I mean, ultimately, I mean, how do you guys feel about this MJF pining to get into the inner circle? None of these segments are working for me. Feels weird.
They're not for me either. Like I watch and I said it last time I was on. I don't understand the concept that's being pushed here. That I don't understand it. I can't. So I'll throw that out first. Is I might not be the best person to critique it because I don't understand it, because I always go back to the idea of like, why are you feuding? Why are you fighting? Why are you having musical numbers? But then you don't like each other? Why is there a match? I don't get it. Like, who cares? And what's the payoff gonna be?
I'll tell you right now. I tell you how you book yourself out of this right here. Because here's the other weird bit. A lot of hardcore AEW fans that I've talked to, who are surprisingly friends of mine, have said the same thing. They don't get this one. When I even ask him, what do you think about this MJF? What am I supposed to think of it? He goes, I don't get it. It doesn't make any sense to me, but it's two of the best, so I'm in. You know what I mean? But like, they still say they don't get it. This is how you get out of it. Fucking finger poke of doom.
I think it's because they have nothing for MJF to do. There's nothing. He's not.
And what does that say?
That says a lot, because he's not, like, right now, he's not relevant because, okay, you're a whiny guy in fake Burberry. Okay.
And he's one of the most skilled guys they got, and they can't figure out what to do with him?
No, and what's interesting to me with it is watching that match. Okay, I don't get it, and I'm high. I'm wearing a shirt that says "Funny equals money." I didn't think it was very funny, and and I mean, a lot of people like that musical thing. I don't know why, but whatever. But I think that two things I got out of that match. One is my hatred, and this is not the personal things coming out, but my just dislike of Sammy Guevara really came out, and I'm like, man, dude, I counted how many times sold a bunch of stuff, and I'm like, dude, it'd be great if you two had a little feud because you're both whiny, bratty people, and that would be great.
Yeah,
like,
that could
leave
work.
your leaves, go away, because now you have Ricky Starks, another one who's, I don't want to say Ricky's whiny, bratty, he's not, but it's that same kind of character where, I've got this ego and I'm, better than sliced bread. You've got
almost prima donna.
Yeah, you've got three. You don't need three. And then, of course, you have Jericho's the older prima donna, and you've got all this other stuff. But it's like with these younger guys, it's like you don't have anything. Like Sammy Guevara has nothing. I just hope that he gets run over again by Matt Hardy in some kind of moving object or whatever. I'm looking forward to that. I'm hoping. I laughed. I watched that thing over and over again. I had a great time. But what do you do? But I thought it was interesting that, okay, yeah, of course Sammy doesn't want you there because you're the same thing. You're the same exact thing, except you're a god, whatever, and he rocks fake designer stuff. So, I get it. It's like Sammy's not good on the mic. It's like don't ever give him a microphone, please. MJF is great on the mic. And then it's like, but what do you do with him? And like Wardlow, I'm like, okay, there's a lot of big dudes there. All right, you have Cage now.
Yeah.
I'd rather watch Cage than you. So it's like, what's the point? So there's no real point with anything. So I think it's giving him something to do, one, and then two, also I guess making the inner circle more legitimate and a reason for them to be around, because you don't see Santana and Ortiz really in any kind of tag contention. So again, going back to, that's why it's great to have another one, because so many good tag teams. And like, I think Jake Hager is really more interested in doing his Bellator shit. That he's there. So what can you do with it? And like Jericho, I'm like, well, you've done everything, dude. Except he was very obnoxious. I thought he was very obnoxious last night on the mic. I'm like, can someone turn his mic off?
With Jericho?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, I turned on the volume.
Yeah, it was bad. I was like, oh, I had
a hard time listening to him.
I'd rather hear Tony over there snacking on chips and food and hear him smack on the on the microphone than hearing Jericho go on and whatever. I'm like, oh, it was awful.
No, I agree with that. It's funny as you said that. I thought, wait, Miro as well, Kip Sabian as well. Like Miro, there's not a lot of diversity in their heels, really, when you think about it. Their heel structure, and that's an easy one to do, but I don't. Maybe you need to challenge your guys to do more. Maybe some people aren't stars. Maybe some programs don't work out, because when I think of the inner circle in this, I mean, to me, the ultimate end goal of it is it breaks up or it gets destroyed. Well, why not have done that earlier? I thought of when Kingston came in, like, it'd be really cool if Kingston like joined up with Proud and Powerful and broke this apart, because we're from the same area. Y'all can do better than this. Like, hell yeah. But instead we had what we have now, and I like Proud and Powerful. It doesn't serve them well to be in the spot to me. Sammy, I can't stand. I think he is too young. I think he'll get better, but I don't. Whenever I see him, I don't know. I could see him almost being a face, but I feel like he's too focused on. He's bought into his own character too much, and I think that's been made worse by Jericho, who's bought into everything Jericho is so fucking much.
Yeah. Are you guys interested at all in Sammy versus Matt Hardy?
No.
I want him to get run over again. That's the only thing that interests me.
Yeah, but I'd rather
What can we
someone else do
do to
it.
destroy Sammy Guevara?
Yeah,
Anything. Like, I love it. That's the only thing I'm interested
I
that's
just,
fair.
yeah,
I think MJF versus Jericho, we're gonna get the finger poke of doom, and I think Matt Hardy versus Sammy Guevara is gonna be all catch wrestling. There's not leaving the middle of that ring.
in. Sammy is like Will Ospreay 2.0.
I'm actually
Except-
nervous. What I honestly think is gonna happen with Matt Hardy's PR move of 2020 to try and make sure that everyone knows that AEW's the safest, best place, no matter how many times he gets physically injured. I think he's going to do another stupid stunt to prove, see, it's all fine. And I'm just really fucking scared about what that's going to mean.
yeah.
As long as we hurt Sammy Guevara.
Grab him by the leg.
Just have Sammy get like the worst concussion ever. See, we're even now. Oh,
Yep.
Yeah.
God. That wasn't what we
pointing.
wanted.
Yeah. Well, like I said, I mean, obviously, as we've seen with over in Japan, like with Best of Super Juniors coming out, and there's no Osprey, that the flippy dippy shit is slowly going away. So people like Sammy, he's a one-trick pony. That's all he does.
Mhm.
I mean, it's high spot, high spot, high spot. If you bulk up, you're not gonna be able to do crap. Okay, and then you're gonna look weird and whatever. But it's like, what is there? Because MJF bulked up, and he at least, he is a different style.
Yeah.
But at least it wasn't like, okay, I bulked up and I look weird, So
Yeah.
I don't know. It'll be very, very interesting. I think if MJF does win and he is part of the inner circle, that's what's gonna blow it up.
He's gonna win by a finger poke.
Probably, or maybe he's gonna strangle Jericho with the fake Burberry. I don't know. Because Jericho likes scarves. I don't know.
Well, with all of their WCW fucking tags and the fact that they keep bringing Eric Bischoff and everything, and they keep teasing WCW, and the fact that they make a joke about everything, I don't see how they get out of this feud without the finger poke of doom.
Yeah.
That's just how I see it. Hey, what did you guys think about Taz and his weirdly sexual attack at Cody? Like, he wanted to fuck him. He's like, you come out here with your pretty hair and your squared off jawline, looking like a man, and your rippling muscles all greased up and sweaty, looking tasty.
I can only get so hard. Calm down, champ. Don't repeat it.
Yeah. Yeah, don't read it. Don't read it word for word. But yeah, like Taz like trying to talk all this shit, and then he's all like Cody, and then just like fucking starts going and also like, ooh, okay.
Oh, Taz, tell me how you really feel.
Yeah, I was like, this is really close to when Jake came out and said he didn't know if he wanted to fight or to fuck Ricky Starks. And I was like, I don't know either. I'll watch it both. All I know is I'm tuned in.
I swear, like, I don't know. Like, I don't know how anyone could keep, like, who's right there. Like, how could anyone can keep a straight face? Because I would be dying. Because I was like, what the fuck's going on?
See, we're the most progressive company in wrestling. We're talking about more men fucking. It's not intended.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
I'm like, okay. Yeah.
You think, dude, I wonder if there's like a fucking bet between Taz and Jake in the back thing. Like, I'm going to go out there and I'm going to tell him I'm going to fuck your guy, dude. Like, literally have sex with him. He's like, there's no way you're going to fucking do that. Dude, I can say whatever I want. I'm going to say I'm going to fuck Ricky Starks. I swear to God. $30 says you can't say it.
How does this escalate? Like, does Jake come out and say, I'm going to make you my finger puppet? And just like licking his finger seductively? Okay, I'm done.
I didn't bring my snake, but I got a python for you.
And I'm watching Criminal Minds now.
Yeah. So you get it.
Yeah, it's I'm on pins and needles. Like, what's going to be said next?
Yeah. Yeah. Oh God.
Like, it's kind of creepy, but it's kind of like interesting at the same time. I'm like, I don't know.
You're like, oh.
Yeah, like Jake.
Well,
I don't know. Yesterday with Jake going on how he did, I'm like, what the fuck is going on here? Like, This is kind of, I don't know. And then
Yeah, I
you
was
had
in a
Arthur
group
talk.
chat and I was all like, Taz is trying to fuck Cody, right? I'm not missing that, right?
When did they start booking based on my fan picks?
Yeah. Oh my God, they're subscribers.
Is there fan? I want to know if there is fanfic out there with Taz and like Cody. I want to see this. Like, I want someone. I will
Yeah.
find someone to read it.
Yeah,
Actually,
absolutely. Let's
I'll
put
ask
that out there.
around. I want to put that out there.
Anyone listening or friends of listeners where they know to get any AEW, WWE, NXT, any wrestling specific erotica fanfic,
Oh, it
go
already
ahead,
exists
DM
for
it
Finn
to us.
Balor.
Does it?
There's a lot. For
Send
Finn
it to
Balor.
us.
No,
You
but
can find
we
us
want
at WOTR,
specific.
the show on Twitter. At Ref Marsh. Go ahead. Marsh Ref on Instagram. Whatever it takes. Go to WrestlingOnTheRocks.com and hit the contact button. Links. What? Well, because
That's a new
Amanda brings up a
show.
good point. We're trying to help Amanda.
That's a new show. Like, I
That's just
swear,
a
if
new
I could
show.
get wrestlers to if I could convince wrestlers to come on and read some of this, that would be amazing. I would
I bet you we could get Tony Schiavone too. I bet you
I
that wouldn't
know
even
we
be
could
hard.
probably get Shivani too. Yeah, seriously, yeah, we could. I
That's-
remember that Colt Cabana tried this with Adam Cole and Chuck Taylor once. This was probably maybe, I don't know. It's got to be it was 2012, maybe 2013. And they had some weird fanfic that they had found with Seidel, and I can't remember who it was. It was somebody weird. I can't remember. They're really
Bastion
big
Booger.
dude. It was no. It was a really big dude. I can't remember. I'll have to go back and listen. But I remember they edited the whole thing out because they were like, this got kind of weird, because we're all friends with Seidel, and but I'm like, I would pay hardcore money to hear those kinds of things. Not because it's getting my rocks up. I think it'd be hilarious. I mean, come on.
Hey, no shame if it does.
No
Either
shame.
way.
No shame. But
We're sponsored, not sponsored by Bad Dragon. We got no shame here on the show.
and I will say this: if someone writes one that's Taz and Cody, I swear, I will try my damnedest. I want someone to read it. I will find someone. I will find a wrestler. God forbid, if I have to pay someone at AEW to do it, I will fucking do it. But yes.
Dude, what do you think cameo's for? What we'll do is we'll just get a bunch of cameos and we'll just send it line by line throughout the whole roster, and then we'll end up with a whole fucking video of them just reading through it.
Yeah.
Sort of like when in school, when they'd be like, all right, everyone's going to read a paragraph, and then the next person,
Or, you know how they did the whole Fast Times at Ridgemont High, reading? A table read? I would love to have that. And, have people pay and, the money goes to charity. That'd be awesome.
Yes, we are a charity. Good point. So two other things. Before we get into my, I do want to tell you guys, because you didn't hear it, my fantasy booking for the Cody Rhodes Darby All In. What did you guys think about Eddie Kingston and Moxley making out?
That was uncomfortable.
It was pretty intense. Their noses weren't even sort of kind of touching. They're just rubbing noses. I feel like Moxie's got a bruised nose today from all that nose pressure.
That's how you get pink eye.
Yeah, Eskimo kisses.
Yeah.
Yeah, pink eye. I can't wait for the shoot interview to drop where Moxley reveals that Eddie Kingston's breath smelled like Ruffles and mouthwash. Look, he was doing his best, but he had just been at catering.
Or also in the shoot interview where he says, yeah, Eddie's mom thinks he's a piece of shit.
Yeah. I don't even like Eddie's mom.
I hate Eddie's mom.
And people are like, damn.
Eddie's mom doesn't even like it. Hey, there you go. Bombshell.
Yeah, bombshell. That was always his mom's favorite.
What
did you think about it, though? I thought it was really intense and good. And there were moments that it was getting me riled up where I was like, shut the fuck up, Eddie. Let him talk. And I was like, oh, wait. I'm getting worked.
Ha.
Go ahead, Clump.
Let's say I'd love if they had a shoot interview down the road and it was just like, you would be surprised at how great Eddie Kingston's mouth or breath is.
Yeah.
It's lavender. Just
Yeah, it was delightful. It was very floral.
Yeah.
Surprised. It's like the guy just chews on dandelions all day. You would swear to God.
Yeah.
Some guys got dip in their mouth. He's got like dandelion and lavender leaves. It's insane. He's just petals.
Big part of his rider was mints.
Yeah. No, I'm not saying he looks gross or smelly or anything like that. Let's get that out of the way. I think he looks like he's very well kept.
Eddie Kingston
just
is very
saying,
well kept. He is.
there's-
I will say
yeah.
that.
I wasn't trying to insinuate that at all. Like I said, I would say mouthwash and ruffles because it would be like, look, he had just been to catering, but he really tried his best. He washed out his mouth, but it was still there. There was nothing you could do about it. It's what we had in catering. It was sour cream and onions. What are you going to do? It wasn't his fault. You know what I mean?
I would say that John Moxley's breath probably smells like Mountain Dew and protein powder.
That's probably true.
That's
I bet you he
like his
mouthwashes with that.
Gun, no, like an MRE and yeah. I don't know, it's hard to nail down his character. When he was Dean Ambrose, it was really like just because he had that like WWE greasy hair thing. I was like, y'all look like y'all smell interesting.
Yes.
But then again, look at his wife, and I'm pretty sure that she wouldn't tolerate stink. I'm
He
pretty
smells like maple syrup. Just
Yeah, she's
aggressively like
Canadian.
maple syrup.
Yeah.
yeah, wrestlers are not the smell problem. This is a
Mhm.
Fans
PSA.
are.
It's the fans.
are. It's the
Yeah.
fans.
No, it's like any convention. The
Mhm.
fans.
I've said it before. I think every big arena should have occupancy signs posted for wrestling fans underneath their normal occupancy. Like
Oh.
we have because we're like large, smelly people. That's what we do as fans. That's what we be. So it's like, oh, this building can hold 200 fans or 130 wrestling fans.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean?
Oh yeah. Wait, let me show you. Okay. When I go to shows,
Yeah. Yeah.
I didn't have this at NWA, Marsh, so you wouldn't have seen this because we're supposedly in a controlled environment. It's a studio, so I didn't feel the need. But I
Yeah.
usually like to have in my bag. This is before COVID. I would have wipes of some sort.
Oh, good.
They also make deodorant wipes too, and also if you go to Target,
Dude wipes.
there's the dude wipes that are shower wipes. So I like to take some and hand them out. Also another thing we used to do at PWG, we would give people like those dollar-sized deodorants.
Oh yeah.
I always keep one in my bag, one or two, just so just in case, because I did do Bola and Reseda, and damn, that shit got hot, and
Yeah.
woo, there's no helping you.
Man, I wish we were
and-
sponsored by Manscaped because they got that ball deodorant I keep hearing about. This would be
hear
a
about
good
that
time to
too.
plug that.
Yeah, I've heard about that too. But even women too. Some of you ladies, no shame. But men,
Dangerously close to Martin Lawrence's like opening monologue on SNL that he did once.
pretty much, it's like, guys, I know some of you, it's like you might not do your own laundry, or you may, but before you go to a show, make sure you're washing your shirt. I don't give a fuck if Penta, whatever hell his name is now, if he touched you once and he's your favorite wrestler, that you should wash your shirt. Okay, if it was something that meant something to you, then you should have framed it, had him autograph it and frame it and whatever, keep it in your buy a different shirt. But yes, wash your shirts, matte face masks now, please wash them too.
No,
I feel
yeah.
good.
It's a
Go ahead, Clump.
disclaimer.
Yeah, Clump, take over.
I feel like you could make a lot of money if you made like the equivalent of tear gas but with Axe.
Yes.
You could just fire a canister into a
Convention.
crowd. It's just like
Yeah. Just convention crowd control, just ball deodorant goes flying through the audience.
Full disclosure, we've done that before at PWG.
cool. This.
Sprayed body spray.
So-
I mean,
Just
I
get a
don't
thing of Axe,
know-
pop it, throw it.
I don't know why they closed the show with Cody, Billy, Austin, and the Dark Order because none of that made sense and I didn't care and the match was weird. But it did end up culminating in Cody calling out Baby Sting Darby up in the rafters. Did you guys get a look at that?
I did.
Clump, I know that you're not always able to catch everything, but for the past 4 weeks or so, Because, and I say this because if you're watching like match by match and not every segment, it cuts to him sometimes, and you might miss it if you blink because it's just real briefly. So, but like for like 4 weeks now or so, it cuts to Darby way up in the rafters on like
Jerking
the highest
off
seat.
watching.
Yes, which is a spotlight on him, and it's all like, oh look, he's up there in the darkness. You're like, not now. You put a spotlight on him.
He's brooding intently.
They moved the
the
fans out of
spotlight.
that section.
Yeah, it's a taped off area for Darby. This is what I want. Because they were talking about, Tony Khan said something's going to happen at Full Gear that would not have been possible a week ago. And people were trying to say, oh, it's Allison Kay coming in, which was an easy thing to say. But I also said, but that was possible a week ago. It was possible 2 weeks ago. Thunder Rosa came in last month. It's possible. She didn't have to not be with NWA to go for the NWA title. That's ridiculous. I think this. I mentioned it last week. I think it may be slightly fine-tuned right now.
We posted it on our Instagram.
It's on our Instagram. But Sting's Legends contract expired a week ago. I think you have Darby sitting up there in the rafters and a crow lands on his shoulder. What's this? To his other shoulder, creepy Sting sitting right behind him, putting his arm around him. He, boom, adopts Darby Allin. He adopts him. He nurses him, holds him tightly up like a kid, milks for him.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like,
suckle. He can suckle all he needs. He needs nourishment. He's a growing young boy. He's baby Sting.
Move on from that.
He doesn't know his name well, keeps calling him Derby.
Derby.
And now you move on to the Moxley versus Sting custody battle for Derby All In. You put a ladder on a pole match with the custody papers above the ring, Moxley versus Sting for the custody of Darby.
I would like if they, and then have Vicky at ringside. She's not involved in it, but she just is also confused and then realizes midway through, oh, god damn it, this is because of the Ray Eddie story.
Yeah. And she just keeps screaming, excuse me, when stuff happens.
Yeah.
But not because she's trying to be involved, because she's just like kind of offended.
Yeah.
Didn't speaking of like contractual things, doesn't WWE own that? Her excuse me thing?
I thought they did, which is why I thought she came out this time and said something else. She was like, hello!
Perdóname, perdóname.
But
Yeah.
when she did excuse me in Japanese, that was her little tongue-in-cheek thing. That's yeah. But I don't know. Contracts.
Yeah, I don't know. But that's what I would do. Ladder on a pole match. You got to get to the top of the pole, bring the ladder down, and then you can climb the ladder to get to the custody papers, which are actually in Derby All In's hands as he's in a shark cage above the ring.
Ladder in a pole match does sound like a way to just like deliberately hurt people.
Yes.
We don't
Ladder on a
want-
pole. Darby's holding his own custody papers in a shark cage above the ring. That's why you need a ladder to get up to the shark cage.
Do we get Taz coming out saying sexual things about Cody? Just because?
Just in general, he's all like, oh, what I would do to the two of you.
Oh, that pole.
Yeah. So that's how I'd put Full Gear. That, the finger poke of doom, and we don't even need Vince Russo anymore. Fuck him.
That would be a great cameo. Just like walking backstage, you see Vince Russo, and you're like, oh, god damn it, I knew it.
Yeah. Yeah, you just see him, but he's like, goes like, huh, and runs behind something. You're like, was that Prince Russo?
I don't mean to burst your Sting bubble, but I don't think that's something that couldn't have been possible a week ago that's possible now.
He's no longer under a Legends contract.
Yeah, but there's something else too.
With Sting?
Not Sting. Period.
Oh. What's the other thing? What's your theory? What's your
My theory.
Contract know-it-all? No.
No. My
yeah,
theory
let's get into your theory.
A week ago, Marty Scurll, at the beginning of the week, was employed by Ring of Honor still as a wrestler. Midweek, no longer on the roster anymore. He was released.
I saw
Why
he
would you
was
have-
removed, but I didn't know what that meant necessarily, because they could remove
No,
affiliation without any contracts.
He is a goner, because you also kind of look, I do, And no, I did not. And I did try to ask, and I was told,
Don't ask.
don't ask. Because I'm like, oh, so, but it's very interesting that as of late, he's come out of the woodwork.
He's been posting stuff on his Instagram. He's been putting up stories with him and his gear. He's been posting up pictures of his bobblehead. I saw the guy who designed his belt has been posting pictures of the old belt again.
Yep. And not only just that, but why the hell would you have three different segments of Hangman thing and an interview? Like an Omega little music video and an interview.
Yeah.
And all of this, that's a lot. That's a lot with that match.
Yeah.
And also with now seeing that Hangman and Kenny came out to help the Bucks. Obviously, like Hangman came out first. I mean, at the end of the day, none of those guys, none of them will have Hangman's back because it's always going to be the three of them. It's going to be the Bucks and Kenny. That's how it started. That's how it's going to be. So Hangman doesn't have friends, but there is a friend he did have, and that's kind of a obvious one because you don't like. I saw that teaser commercial so many times, and I saw it 2 times on another channel today, and I was like, you don't tease something that big that would have something that really would affect that pay-per-view, and that I think would really affect that pay-per-view. It's
that along with the adoption of Darby Allin, custody belonging to Sting.
No, because that kind of screws up other things with it. Darby's not loved. He's not going to get adopted. No one's going to adopt Darby.
That's why he needs to be adopted by his creepy uncle.
He could be a fatherless, a kid with no father. It's fine. It's fine.
He broke his own car window. He needs guidance.
So, I mean, come on. Like the kid, no. But no, he's fine on his own. He's fine on his own.
See, I was thinking about that too, and I also thought that with the random turn and lack of proper explanation of why the Young Bucks have started being so villainous and such, I did think that it would be such a stretch.
Cunts, because they're really just being cunts.
Yes, but they don't know the difference.
They don't. No. They don't. They don't do the heel well. If they do the heel, it's very sarcastic. Like you can go back to.
Yeah.
I know this is another
get it.
But like if you ever look at like they had this epic war with Candice LeRae and Joey Ryan back in the EWG. They were cunty. It wasn't like their heel was more cunty than it was, oh, I'm a bad guy. It's just they're very sarcastic and whatever, right? And they do it well because the
great and annoying Marsh.
They're very annoying. Yeah, they can be very annoying.
No, I've been booing them as long as I can remember.
Well,
so
but I'll tell you, I really think that BTE's gotten kind of crazy with like I can't stand John Silver now. I'm like, dude, calm the fuck down, please.
Yeah, he's gotten real annoying on TV too.
Really annoying.
But I was thinking that if Skrull did come in and start the Villain Enterprises, you can have a Villain Enterprises versus the Elite. I mean, Brody King's not under contract anymore, right? Didn't he free up?
But here's the thing with Brody, though. Of the 3 other members of Villain Enterprises that when all of this Me Too crap kind of was done, Brody was the first one to start releasing shirts without the logo on it. And he had made a comment on, I want to say, it was one of his Twitches that I thought was very, very interesting, that he was very disappointed. But my thing was, it's like, bro, like, a lot of people were disappointed with everything, but there's a takeaway that comes with it. And for me, there is. But I was like, wow. So I knew that was already going to be a goner. Because the last one to really kind of cut the cord was he was the last one. Because then PCO followed suit like maybe a week and a half, 2 weeks later. Shirt, no logo on it. And I'm like, okay, that's the end of that. And there's going to be no closure. It's just done. and then kind of held on to it, and then just whatever. So that's when he started making those mercenary videos, which were interesting. I will say that. But I think that no, Brody still is under contract with ROH. He's kind of got that Jeff Cobb kind of contract, where you know, he can do whatever. I don't see him going to AEW necessarily. I don't, because again, another big guy they don't know what to do with.
Yeah.
Because
I mean, look at Miro. Miro's in a blood feud right now with the Best Friends, and he had such harsh things to say as, "You have no manners, and it's not even your fault. Your mother didn't teach you." And when you're in a blood feud like that,
no, I'm like, oh yeah, pick on Trent's mom, poor Sue. Come on now.
twice he said, "You have no manners because your mother didn't teach you."
Yeah, I'm like, what the hell?
That's the cutting words of a blood feud. I'm all like, oh, don't let fucking Bruiser Brody hear you say that.
That's like a Luchasaurus feud, you know? Like, no, dude. Like, that's another one. I mean, I don't think Luchasaurus, I've never thought he was that great.
Yeah,
but,
actually,
you know, but you have these big dudes that you don't know what to do with. And if you have a big guy that knows how to wrestle, again, you still don't. Because, like, look what happened. Jeff Cobb showed up, twice, and then he was gone?
Yeah, he said that he didn't like how it was going on
No,
there.
because they didn't know what to do with him.
Grim Reaper!
Yeah,
Thank you for joining the chat, Grim Reaper.
Yeah. It's like, that's okay. Because, you know, he can go to Japan and it's fine. Because that's the other thing that I was interested in seeing, too, is now that New Japan has new presidency, or soon, or whatever, I don't know.
Yeah.
What happens with that? Because it was interesting that there's some people that now
the bug in my drink.
Yeah, who are doing
Clump?
New Japan.
Yeah. Clump, what do you think about the idea of potentially Marty Scurll showing up?
I'd find it interesting. I mean, I'm curious to see how they do it, because partly, I don't like, part of it that upsets me is like, I feel like if he comes in, he will be associated with some of the kind of piss poor ways that they've thrown other people back in. I mean, I'm gonna compare it to Sammy coming back, you know?
Yeah.
And if he comes in a really aggressive way, yeah, he's got this pumped ability, but I don't know, man. Like, our guys, I feel like there's a lot of things there that were really, it's not near as bad as it initially came out to be, but I feel like there's also a lot of things that could be done by the person to address it, and maybe when being introduced to the audience that might have to come up before he's in there and people dredge it up with him, you know? Because I see that happening where he comes in and then, you know, this is a person who conversations will come about, and I'd like to see
people
him
will say,
come
"What
in.
about this?"
I also feel like him coming in, I in part worry about a schmoz finish.
Their referees aren't good enough to have a finish that doesn't have a finish. Like, they've got no non-finishes. They never do DQs. The referees don't notice anything. A referee literally in an FTR match put his head down between his legs during a match because he was trying so hard not to see something and didn't know how to be distracted, and just went to his knees and put his head down for no reason at all. So I don't think you're going to end up in like a smudge finish where it's like, well, what is this? You're going to end up with more likely an actual interference that just results in a quote clean finish.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But I do know what you mean. Like, the idea of saying, hey, we're going to have this person come in is one thing, because then you can begin the conversation of, and here's why we are comfortable bringing him in, as opposed to saying surprise and then being like, okay, I hear what you're saying. Let me say something.
Yes.
You don't want the backlash to be reactive. You want to be able to be proactively saying, this is the reasons that we don't have a problem working with him. These are the things that were not considered. Because you and I had a very long conversation on here a couple weeks back of, what's the purpose of Me Too with speaking out and the internet cancellations if not to demand change or see reform? Is it just to stone for stoning's sake? And like you said, of all the stories that came out, his seemed like something that he could learn from and grow from and be better from after the fact. He didn't
He did.
seem like a lost cause. Like it wasn't so aggressive and violent that you just go, "Oh my God, what a fucking monster." You just go, "Oh, it looks like some poor decisions were made and someone needs to learn from this. Someone teach this guy right from wrong. Let's start over real quick."
I
How do
think,
you address that,
and I think that that could be something for if he as a free agent to talk about his journey separate. Do what he can outside of there,
No.
and
Yeah.
really be earnest, be open, be transparent about where things have gone, where things are going, what you've learned. Because
Like what Joey Ryan's doing, but actually the right way instead.
Adam
You're not doing
Blampier,
everybody.
yeah,
Yeah.
Adam Blampier from What Culture and Cultaholic, like,
Yeah.
talk about it. There wasn't crimes there, but there was some shitty behavior he had to learn from, and
Yeah.
he seems to learn from it. Show it. I
Yeah.
I don't necessarily. I honestly kind of get cringy at the idea of him coming in this way. As much as I'd like to see him come in, if they brought him in this way, I'd be like, motherfucker, like, just not happy.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I think I'm curious to see how it plays out. I mean, like you, I want to hear that stuff as just a semi-typical wrestling fan. I do like a good surprise when I can get one. So I think that, I mean, and with him, I guess I've had more empathy towards his story than almost anybody else's story that's come out. That maybe for me, I don't feel that same aggressive lashing that is associated with a lot of the stories that what I did read. Because there's a lot of them where you read and just go, "Fuck that guy," over and over again. What? His, I felt a lot more empathetic towards and felt a lot more like, well, this sounds like a guy who fucked up and can learn. This doesn't sound like a bad person at the core of it. And I feel like he did say a few things to try to address that. But like you said, maybe not enough, and maybe not openly enough, and maybe the internet's not the person to impress anymore. Because maybe if they're just there to stone you and they're not willing to listen, then maybe you just move on and just ignore it. Maybe that is a move. I don't know. I don't know the right move there.
Yeah.
Grim Reaper does say, oh, go ahead and, Grim Reaper does say that the refs there are like the Attitude Era refs that didn't see anything and were dead for 5 minutes after a slap, which is true. Amanda, go ahead and wrap it up on the AEW front with what you wanted to say about that.
Yeah. Well, with Marty is one of those ones that, and I've gotten a lot of flack, and people, you can unfollow me because this is just my opinion, and I did my homework. It was one of those stories where, yeah, he totally got stoned. And I'm not saying this because, I do know him personally, but I had to ask, and I did ask, and he told me the whole his side of it,
Mm-hmm.
and I know why, things happened. There's an underlying problem that was there, and I even told him, I said I had concern because when I was reading the story, I said one thing popped in my mind, and I said, and I know you don't remember it, and I said I remember one time in Vegas that all of us were like hanging out and partying, and I remember the next day you didn't remember anything. And you like lost your ID, you lost your, your debit card, and you're like, oh my God, I $1,000 like vanished. Like, well, I know where that went. I think I know what might happen to your ID and stuff like that. But it's scary.
I saw the bill. It's not lost.
It's not, yeah. And I think that if, people, they want to have surprises. And I know this is one that, yeah, you're going to get a lot of flack from it. But to be quite honest, it's like, I think at the end of the day, they'll be fine because, they didn't bring Jimmy Havoc back. And when Sammy came back, it was like, oh, that was a slap on the wrist. And I'm like, no, dude, the kid's got problematic things, not just, saying the stuff that he said to Sasha, but he said other things to other people before too. And he still does. He's not learned anything from it. So, whereas, Marty, everyone took his career away. He's not going in there wanting to be an EVP. At the end of the day, I think he just wants to win. And I think that it would be good for kind of for everybody, because I really think that, like, he comes in there and it brings some sense of, for those people who, are there for just BTE. That's a big bunch of closure for 2 years that, he couldn't go there. Like, now, pretty much, I'm pretty sure that he has to work or he's going to get deported. So, I mean, I don't know. So who knows? Because now times are different. Because if he would have been, I think he honestly would have been with AEW from the get-go. But he couldn't, because at the time, they weren't really a company. And he was trying to live in the States. So.
Yeah, and also, what a hell of a deal he got with ROH. I mean, it was hard to deny the idea of, like, hey, not only do we want to rebuild this company in a certain way, but we want your vision as a big part of it. That sounds hard to give away from anybody who loves what they do, to be a big part of a new company, or not even a new company, but a new direction with a company. You know what I mean?
And he did. And for people who were like, oh yeah, he had nothing to do with Pure Tournament. No, that was all him. That was the thing that he was working on, and that was the only thing.
Yeah.
So that's what his stamp on ROH is, and everyone seems to enjoy it. But I just look back and I'm like, you guys, if it wasn't for him to even, try to bring that back, it wouldn't have been there. So yeah, and it wasn't Hunter who did it, or Delirious. Sorry, but no, I think that's one thing, and that was a great product too. Didn't like the outcome, but it was a great product though.
Yeah, for sure. I think we'll wrap it up on AEW there. If he does want a platform to say anything he wants to say, we're always open to have a drink with a guy.
I can arrange.
Yeah. Marty, if you're listening and you want to just say some stuff on a mic, I'll edit it with you later.
I would gush for hours. Like, just...
Yeah. We can all have drinks. Clump will just silently weep in happiness.
Yeah.
No, yeah. But if there was someone, if he did want a free form area to discuss stuff, we can always put it out. Not do a live one at all. No. But we can wrap this up on AEW, and hopefully we get to a Darby Allin custody battle. Hopefully we get our finger poke of doom, and hopefully we maybe get a couple more surprises. So
yeah, I want Sammy to get run over. Don't forget that.
Sammy can get run over. We're all on board whatever.
There.
Let's move on to NXT, guys. I thought NXT on paper had a bunch of weird pairings to me, and I was like, why are we getting all these random fucking matches? It felt like with Ciampa and Dream sort of had story, but it wasn't something I suppose I was invested in. Dakota and Ember Moon seemed like it was thrown together. We had Cameron Grimes and Kushida, and I didn't understand why that was together at all. Shotzi and Toni Storm, just because Shotzi decided she wanted to face Toni Storm. It just, on paper, I was all like, I don't know what the hell is happening here, but I guess I'm interested in it. And I felt like the show did a really good job of actually tying all that stuff together and getting me caring by the end of each one of these. Cameron Grimes is fucking... I hate it. He makes me laugh, and I don't think he should. But
you're falling for it.
Yeah, I'm falling for it, man. I'm falling for it. Because I even said when I watched Halloween Havoc that when I saw the Cameron Grimes and oh my God, why am I only thinking of the other name? What's Sam's name now? Dexter. When I saw all that stuff, I watched it and enjoyed it, and I felt like I was watching it in a vacuum of, no, this is the Halloween part of Halloween Havoc. This isn't an actual match. This isn't actually canon. This isn't part of real wrestling. This is the Halloween part. This is where we get spooky for a little bit. Like, I completely disassociated with it and watched that as more of a production thing, which is kind of weird because I don't typically do that. I usually get mad about other stuff. Now that they're out of that and they're still kind of running with it and he's screaming about zombies, I'm like, okay, guys, we can cross this line here only so far. Although Vic Joseph is incredible, and no one talks about how funny he is, but he's hysterical. When Cameron Grimes came out, and then the zombie ref came out. The ref came out and he was like, oh, he's a zombie. He's like, zombie. And then Vic Joseph's like...
No, I said it first.
What?
And then he said
Okay, go ahead then.
No, no, like you said.
Oh, well, yeah, so what are you saying? You said about the zombie thing first?
Yeah, I said it, and then immediately after I said it, he said it, and you were like,
Yep, on point. Vic Joseph ends up saying, well, zombies aren't real, but, like trying to clarify, zombies not actually real is what Cameron Grimes thinks he's seen. And you're like, so funny that he's like walking you through that. What did you guys think? We could just start with that one, though. What do you think of Cameron Grimes and Kushida? On paper, I didn't know why they were in a match, but together, I actually liked the way the match came together a lot.
I agree with that. It was weird, but good. It might have been my favorite Cameron Grimes match.
Mm-hmm.
Because I've been like I've not disliked the guy, but I've been like I don't know what's so fantastical.
Yeah.
Whereas anytime Kushida's on, I'm excited as hell to watch him.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So I thought it was a great match. It was a neat kind of mix of styles. They work well together, so I liked it. They both mix a level of technicality with airiness that I think works. They're not. It's not Will Ospreay or Will Ospreay and Ricochet, Best of the Super Juniors, where they're flying all over the ring like crazy. It's more grounding, which I loved in Kushida.
Yeah. Amanda, I know that before you watched the show, that was the one thing it was one of the matches you immediately said you were excited to see actually on paper.
And it did not disappoint. Because I guess for me, with Cameron Grimes, when he went to WWE, I kind of was like, oh, I don't know. Because I think he's probably one of the best heels that is out there, I think, in the last couple of years. And I know some people might not agree with me with it, but he can go toe to toe with a lot of people. I mean, I've seen him wrestle Ricochet. I've seen him wrestle a lot of these people. And it always amazes me that his style is so adaptable. And that with Kushida, it excited me because I'm like, man, here's, Kushida, who's going to be like all over the place. And that's not Cameron Grimes. Sorry, Trevor Lee keeps coming out, but that's not his style. And so I was really excited to see that. And I thought it was great because it was something that I'm like, man, these are those exciting little things that make me go, huh? Okay, there's some potential. I like matches like that. The Halloween Havoc thing made me just laugh because he was just so hysterical, and I'm like, God, this guy's a ham. I think it's great only because that's not in the element I'm used to seeing him in. And I thought it was great.
I agree. He comes off as a really good heel. Immediately when I see him, I go, well, this guy clearly smells. And then when he wins right away, you're like, well, fuck that dude. He's not even like jacked or nothing. And then the second like he starts losing in a match, it's like, yeah, I got him. Like, I mean, you're like, fuck this dude from the beginning, and that's awesome. Like,
yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah, and he actually is really great on the mic. And I wish sometimes that on the old PWG videos they would have some of his mic work because he is amazing on the mic. And I mean, he can with just a few words really just really cause that I fucking hate this guy reaction, and it's amazing. And I think that's what we lack a lot of times. Like people think that heels have to be a certain way, but he's like really old school heel, and I enjoy that. And I think that was I would love to see more types of matches kind of like that because you'd never expect that.
And I super appreciate that old school style heel stuff because I do feel like that wrestling fans don't know what they want, and it's just so clear when you watch that because they go, oh, this is they don't tell any stories and everything gets rushed and there's no storytelling in WWE. And then at the same time they'll say, well, this story's going on forever. This is why we've been waiting 3 months to get to this match. This is bullshit. Just have the match already. And you're like, you can't tell a slow story quickly. Like, I don't know what you mean by that. And I think with heels, it's the same way. It's you're a bad heel. You're not even the type of heel that I like booing. I hate booing you. I just hate you. And you're like, why does that make him a bad heel? You're like, they're trying to like put their nose up and say they're smart. You got go away heat. I don't even like watching you lose. You're still watching though, and you're booing them. So I love that kind of old school heat where people just don't know what to say other than I hate you so much. I hate you. I hate you. I hate you. I love it. And yeah, I think that there's a degree of him where he's somehow entertaining and still like, fuck that dude, you know? Like,
He's got really great technical skills. And I think a lot of people gonna miss that because, a lot of people didn't watch Impact when he was on Impact. It was those kind of years. But I think that when you look at him, there's a lot of really, really great potential there. And I don't know, a lot better than some of the other people on the roster. But
yeah, 100%. I agree, and I do think that was a really good match. Let me see. Was there another thing? We'll just toss it to you to talk about whatever you wanted on there. What else in NXT really stood out to you?
The women's matches were very interesting because on paper, you're seeing like, okay, I enjoy watching Ember Moon. I don't know why. I love seeing her matches, and I really enjoyed the match yesterday. And to see on paper, then all of a sudden you see Shotzi versus Toni Storm. That had my curiosity because that's kind of like that's a little strange, but okay. Let's see what happens with it. And I think that was very, very exciting for me these are two different women's matches that actually I'm looking forward to and can hold my attention and, and think, oh man, this is great timing. And once I watched it, was I really that happy? Well, I was kind of watching, I was distracted, obviously as most of us were yesterday. So I was kind of watching it, and honestly, like the Ember Moon one, I thought was fantastic. Shotzi, I don't know. Sometimes she's really hit and miss with me. Sometimes on NXT, I don't know why.
Clump, did you get a chance to watch both these matches?
Kind of without sound. I mean, they looked good.
Yeah. We got to see them. So I mean, I got a visual question for you. I did think that for one, Dakota Kai going over Ember Moon, I thought was really interesting and really cool. I thought that the match that they had together was actually really solid, and I really liked the way that they did it. I was the most excited, I think, for Shotzi Toni, and maybe that was my problem. I felt like Shotzi immediately flubbed and never got her footing back.
Yes.
And she made a ton of slips to the point where I started personally feeling nervous for Toni. And I felt like there was a moment where they were cutting to commercial and it just zoomed in on Toni's face. And she looked like she was thinking a mile a minute of what the fuck do I do now? You know what I mean? That first one was crazy. Like she went for a springboard and just flips forward into the ring.
It was just her trying to get in the ring.
She was going for a springboard. She was trying to get onto the top rope and spring off. And she just like down the stairs.
I think it just caught her.
Yeah.
Her foot got caught on the rope and she just
Absolutely. And then so much so that when Shotzi goes for this move where she's on the inside of the ring and Toni's on the apron of the ring, Shotzi's like shaky footed as fuck and flips over Toni to do this thing. And it looked a lot like Toni just stood her ground and said, "You're not taking me with you." And as soon as Shotzi was like past her, she went ahead and Toni fell because it's like, okay, this is where your momentum would take me, but no, I'm not going down with you. Is what it looked like to me. Clump, I know I said a lot there. What do you think?
I get that. I mean, I think from what I saw, and I was kind of watching it back and forth, I think that, it seemed like a space where, just outside of wrestling, I think we've all been in a spot where we make a mistake and we need to pause, but we want to barrel on, and I feel like that, how do you do that there? I might, think of putting somebody taking charge, putting somebody in a rest hold and basically telling them, hey, like in that rest hold, communicating, relax, like We're gonna like refocus ourselves. But then also part of it, when something like this occurs, like why not? You know, this is a pre-tape. You know, this is a closed set, isn't it? It's not. It's all talent watching for NXT, correct?
Those are fans. Those are actual
Shit. Yeah.
fans.
Okay.
But I don't know if it's live or not. That I don't know.
I don't
It
think
might
it's
not
live.
be a pre-tape.
Yeah.
You don't think it is?
No, I think it's pre-taped, but there are fans.
Okay. Then
I feel like that's probably true too. But I also think that the NXT crowd, more than any other crowd, fucking gets that stuff.
Mhm.
And if you came out and did it again, they're just gonna be there for you again.
Yeah.
The NXT crowd is very loving when it comes to their wrestlers.
But then maybe you kind of get what I'm throwing out there. Like in
Yeah.
a spot like this where you're like steps off. We've seen matches where we're frustrated because it seems like everyone's a step off. In a spot like this where it seems so much, rather than trying to regain and work with each other so rapidly without a rest hold or pause or something like that, let's just restart.
Yeah.
Because
Let's just do it again.
yeah, it did seem a bit off and weird. And I mean, to me, I don't know. Like, I think both these matches were interesting in the idea behind them. I was more interested in Shotzi and Tony Storm because I'm maybe more disappointed that Ember Moon lost.
Yeah.
I think Ember Moon needs the wins.
It's true. I mean, she didn't have the greatest showing on Raw.
Nope. So
yeah.
I think she put up a great match, but I think she needs wins more than anything. And that said, I do understand that it was Dakota Kai, right?
Yeah.
They're building a lot behind her, so you can't just throw them under this new person coming in. So I respect that in a sense, but I don't know. Maybe this could have been done differently to me.
Yeah. I get that, and that's a good point. I mean, if they're doing pre-tapes, then fucking reshoot it, because that I don't think was a good showing for Shotzi, and I think that she deserves a bit better. She clearly has star power behind her, and there's one thing we know about wrestling is that your wrestling ability alone and your moves alone are not going to be what determines your stardom potential. I mean, look at the best. Look at Rock. Look at Austin. Look at Hogan. Look at Cena, Roman. What big flashy moves did any of them have? Ric Flair never came off the top rope. Shawn Michaels was considered a high flyer because he did a moonsault sometimes. Like, your ability to do big flashy things is no sense of your ability to be a big star in this industry. And I think Shotzi has all the things you need to be a big star. And she's also trying to add flashy moves to it, which I don't have a problem with. But when it's just not clicking, yeah, just maybe redo it. She deserves better. She deserves to be seen better than that. She shouldn't have a match that looks kind of that sloppy for us to go back and revisit. It shouldn't just never made air. You know what I mean? Producer had something she wanted to say real quick.
Yeah, her timing seemed off. Her pacing. If she could just maybe work on pacing, maybe it would help so that she doesn't injure herself, because that's kind of what I'm concerned about.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know enough about wrestling to say what's the thing that she's quite missing. It does feel like, yeah, maybe she slowed down it'd make a difference, but maybe if you slow down, you can't do the moves right. I don't know. I don't know wrestling on that level. I don't want to pretend that I'm a coach.
I guess I'm thinking of it like dance.
But yeah, from the dance perspective, like, oh, if you slow down, you can get your footing back better and all that stuff. And like, I get it. Yeah, impose yourself. I don't know how that translates to these specific. Once you're in the ring, it's different than almost everything else. Is all I've ever heard. And I've done some wrestling training, but only a couple of classes. And I was trying to train to be a ref, and then I was going there for a few times. And the guy was like, "Look, bottom line, I don't know how to train a ref. I'm just going to train you to be a luchador if you keep coming." And I was like, "Oh, well, that's opposite. That couldn't be more opposite of what I'm going for."
You as the luchador would be amazing to watch, though.
Yeah,
wouldn't it be so dope, dude? But with that in mind, like, I get the idea that it is very different in there. And all appearances and of this mass you see in front of you today. I actually used to work out a lot, and I actually used to be very athletic, and I do know what it's like to train. And I ran 3 miles a day, and I was at the gym 3 times a week,
Bless you.
and I ran 6 miles once a month around Central Park. Like I did that stuff, and nothing was like just being in the ring for 10 minutes. It does feel different, and you do behave different, and everything about it is different. So from a very small scope, I can say, yeah, I don't know what the fix is. I know that it's probably different than what I would think, but I don't think it's fair to Shotzi, who's got such potential star power, to have something so sloppy to air on TV. And I also wonder if Tony didn't start putting on all those holds to slow her down
Yeah.
and to ground her.
Yeah.
I wonder if the match changed. Go ahead.
With Shotzi, like all of my experience watching her has been a hood slam, and obviously heavy intergender, and then seeing what she did with Rise, and I can't remember. She was in Shimmer for a little bit, right?
Shotzi did a lot of intergender matches.
Oh, hood slam pretty much is 9 times out of 10, because there was only 2, maybe 3 women, like Brittany Wonder and Shotzi, really.
Oh.
And who she trained with, I mean, people, if you go back and you're like, oh my God, I mean, she trained with, at Stoner University. And I mean, people are like, whoa,
Nice.
they're from the Stoner Brothers. And I mean, and honestly, like she is wrestling people that it's go, 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 high spot, high spot, high spot. And a lot of the women on that roster, really, that's not the style that they have. Like, obviously, she versus Candice is going to always be a banger, because that's that very similar style where lots of high spots and they can go and things like that. But like with Tony, I think it was kind of obvious that it was like, maybe it was way too fast paced. And a lot of that communication probably lost with it, because usually with Shotzi, when she's on, she's on. And then when she can flub a little, it's very rare. And so that's why I was kind of shocked that I was like, that's not, a Shotzi that I've seen before. And I always was kind of curious, like when WWE signed her, and they signed her like right away. And I don't know if it was because she was on, I was it Tough Enough or whatever one of, I know they had 2 or 3 different incarnations of making people a wrestler. I know she was on one of them, and she was released, but no fault of her own, of course, because it was a health reason. But I was really shocked that they would pick her up, because that's so not the style of women in WWE historically.
Yeah. She definitely comes off way different than any woman on the roster. And I actually, I want to say within safety reason, I actually like a good botch from time to time, a good slip or something not quite being quite right, because I feel like it does add a realism. Like in that initial shot where she tripped in trying to do a springboard, if that had been played out well and didn't affect the rest of the match, I'd have been like, wow, that's a very real moment of what it's like to be in the heat of the moment and be trying to do your thing. And the ropes are maybe slipperier than you think. And I know that some commentators, I didn't hear it here, but some commentators in the past, like Taz and such, have been good about saying things like, oh, you don't realize there's been other matches on the night and there's just sweat and there's spit and it's a humid room and those ropes become a lot more slippery than you would imagine. And it's hard to get your footing sometimes. And you go, oh yeah, it is. It's a fucking fight in there. But like you said, this was kind of a lot all at once that it got to a point where it's all like, she's not in the right mindset anymore. Something happened.
And it was very interesting, because I'm like, well, you call it? I mean, how do you go and save something? Because you really can't. I mean, the only thing they could have done was just cut it. I mean,
just wrap it.
Would I have preferred that? Probably. But, again, they kept it in for some reason. I don't know. But it could have been cut, and I'd be fine with it.
Yeah.
And there's 2 of arguably the biggest stars you have on the roster. I mean, you got a ton of star power on that roster, but I feel like Tony and Shotzi are 2 women you put on the marquee, even separate, and people go, oh, I'm going to watch that match at least.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah, having them together seems like, hey, that could have been a main event somewhere down the line. we're getting a tease of it tonight, which is pretty cool. And then for it to be what it was is like, yeah, it felt a little unfair to both of them because we know both of those women are better than that. Were you gonna say something? Producer has something she wanted to say.
Oh, I totally empathize with Shotzi because, like, I've done a performance on stage where the first 10 seconds my music like didn't start right, or something. So it was something that really threw me off, and it like messed with the entire performance. So I mean, I totally empathize, and I felt really bad for her. But yeah, maybe. I mean, if it's live, I don't know what they could have done differently.
Yeah.
It's a bummer.
Grim Reaper says in the chat, NXT had an exhibition match feel this week. 2 competitors on the roster just having a match. The story can be about the individual wrestlers, whose stock goes up and down and go from there. And yeah, it's kind of what, yeah, I agree entirely. Sort of kind of what I was saying before is it just looked like a bunch of matches all of a sudden. Just looked like it almost looked like when you played like WWE Universe on the 2K games, and you just turn it on, you go like, oh, Miz versus Batista, okay. You're like, all right. It just kind of felt that way. Where it's like, I guess we'll see how that plays through. That's all I had to say about the women's matches themselves. I thought Ember and Dakota was really good and really interesting, and I felt that Tony and Shotzi was a bit of a letdown, and I feel bad for the women because they're actually 2 of my favorite women on the roster. Anything either one of you guys wanted to throw into there?
I think no, I'm good.
No? Okay.
Yeah.
I'll throw this out there. Drake Maverick, Killian Dane versus Everrise. We're gonna attach that with the Pat McAfee segment with Pete Dunne. I like what's going on with Killian and Drake. I think Killian getting his head smashed in makes this really interesting because it quickly went from a comedy thing to this might not be funny anymore. But I also think Pat McAfee is 1,000% money every fucking time you give him the mic.
Yeah, that line. We'll talk about this later. Too far.
Oh yeah. When they're getting in the car, a little too far, a little too aggressive. We'll talk about it later, but I like what you're doing. You know, like McAfee's so good. I mean, the way that he was putting over everyone around him too. He's like, Pete Dunne, can we talk about his arms right now? This dude just came back jacked. This guy's all biceps and shoulders now. Like you're just like, damn, this dude's like putting him over. We'll start with Clump. What did you think about Pat McAfee, Drake Maverick, Killian Dane, Pete Dunne, all of that stuff?
It was a busy segment.
For the brand!
I know there are people who like Pat McAfee. I mean, yeah, I'm being
Future Hall of Famer Pat McAfee.
God, I hate him with a passion.
Go ahead.
God, I hate him. I mean, I get it because not necessarily for Pete Dunne. I think Pete Dunne can exist by himself, but I feel like for Danny Burch and Oney Lorcan, yeah, it's a great way of giving a mouthpiece to 2 people who are boring. But God, I hate Pat McAfee, which is why he's working me, so I get it. I hate him as
much. He's gonna be a Hall of Famer, dude. I can't wait for his elite figure to come out. Go ahead.
I'll burn a stack of them. This is my book burning moment. It's just Pat McAfee.
I'm like going to store. I'm like, dude, I cannot find any Pat McAfees in town. And you're like, and you won't.
Yeah.
What? You just send me like a picture of a stack of them in your backyard on fire. It's like, fuck.
The White Sox at the White Sox Stadium had a party for Disco being dead. Mine's Pat McAfee being dead.
Jesus.
For figures.
Figures.
Yeah.
Amanda, what did you think of all this stuff?
You know, Pat McAfee's growing on me. At first,
Future Hall of Famer, Pat McAfee.
Yeah, he's growing on me. I mean, you got it right. I mean, Lonely Orkin and they're boring. They're so bland. I mean, they need something, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't
They're
know.
Dry toast.
The beyond dry
toast.
That's
the shame about them is that they're both so good.
They're great, but it's like, they're just dry. I don't know if it's because I don't think that Regal and them do a really good job with, the British wrestlers. I don't know. I don't know. But yeah, I mean, I have my thoughts on NXT UK. Like, I was excited about it, but I'm like, no. And I'm glad certain people didn't sign. with
What
them.
did you think? Did you see the Walter versus Ilya match?
I did, but I love those two anyway.
Yeah.
Those guys are I mean, but I mean, Walter Ilya. I mean, like alone,
No,
they're that's a stiffy moment right there. I mean,
yeah.
you're
Damn
gonna
right it
get
was.
you're gonna get good shit out of that. I mean, there's no way around it. I mean, you're getting good shit out of that. I mean, damn, like that's just like,
Yeah.
man, if you've never seen WXW, you're missing a lot of shit. That's all I know. I told a friend of mine, I'm like, you've never seen.
WXW, a lot of their stuff is
Yeah.
on the network now. WWE
Yeah.
Network has it now.
Mhm.
That's a
I'm
plug
like, if
for you.
you've never seen that, that'll
Get
blow
the
your
free
mind.
WWE networks. Get WXW. Get the Sam Roberts Now show. Sam Roberts, not Sam Wrestling show.
I trade with someone, so I won't pay WWE, but I'll trade. So
It's free. It's free.
Is it?
Yes. The
Really?
WWE Network is free now. There's a paid part that gets you the pay-per-views,
Oh,
and then there's a lot of
no, but
programming
I
that's
don't
on their
know.
free
I don't
side.
know, but I trade with someone, so it's okay. So
Well,
yeah,
No, well, don't say that.
I'm not saying who I trade with and what I trade for. No, that I did not say. But
It's true. It's true.
yeah, that's no. People don't need to know that. But no, I mean, I think the segment is a little wacky, but I mean, hey, my Pete Dunne person. No. He bores me.
Yeah.
Yeah. He bores me. I mean, that's a very harsh statement to say, but he kind of bores me. He's always.
Well, then this is perfect.
Yeah, he's never been one for me to be. Oh, I'm going to be interested in, but.
Because I feel like Pete Dunne matches I've never cared about going into them, and they always draw me in by the end of them, and I'm screaming before it's over.
Yeah.
And I feel the same thing with Oni and Danny Burch. I'm always like, oh, these guys are pretty brutal, but whatever. And if you got three dudes who are arguably and understandably people's favorites and could possibly be some of the best workers you have, but have such a dry toast personality, who's got personality to spare but Pat McAfee?
Exactly. So
he's like fucking Marmite on toast. It's god awful.
That dude's like fucking a wedding cake of personality. He goes, oh yeah, everyone here can have a slice.
I don't like wedding cake. I don't like cake.
Well,
you don't have to like it for it to be available.
Yeah. And sometimes it's good in moderation.
Pat McAfee's giving me diabetes. That's just what you're giving me. Tell me.
Yes. Because he's just so goddamn sweet.
Yes.
Oh, fuck.
In March, if you can't find figures when they bring his elite figure out, I will look for you. I will look.
Yes. We're going to find him. Future Hall of Famer Pat McAfee figures. I want it to come with a football that has Adam Cole's face painted on it, but we'll see what they do. They're going to do what they want.
One fucking larger leg.
You know what? I have a friend who does custom figures, so don't make me have him make you a little football with Adam Cole's face.
Oh, that'd be so good. Let's see, real quick. Grim Reaper's back in the chat saying, like you said earlier, Marsh, if it was just the moves, Lorcan and Birch would be superstars. Pat adds big-time personality to them. Exactly, dude. And Kevlar's in the chat saying, what's up, you fix? Yo, dude, we're just drinking. Kevlar, we want finger poke of doom for Jericho versus MJF. What say you? Let's see. Going through Thatcher stuff was good. And I guess we'll just wrap it up with Ciampa and Velveteen Dream unless there's something else you guys want to have that.
I agree with you. No, Pete Dunne's awesome.
He does general.
Yeah. No, I like dude's ripped. Like, damn. Not knocking how he looked. Dude's ripped now. Like,
yeah.
He unlocked a new level. He went Super Saiyan.
Dude, he had to put out a statement. He lost so much. He leaned up so fast. Or, I mean, not even so fast, but just because we hadn't seen him. He put out a picture that was him in a hoodie, and people were like, oh my God, he's sick. And so he had to put out another picture with him in a tank top saying, no, I've just got no body baby fat to spare anymore. And so I'm like, oh, never mind. People were like real nervous. So, I mean.
Oh no, little buddy.
But yeah, I agree with you guys in the idea that he can be lacking in the personality department, which is why I think they paired him with Matt Riddle to begin with, was because they're like, oh, he'll give some flair to that. But hey, you put together a faction with Pat McAfee, just keep it coming, man. Keep it coming. Unless you guys had something else to say about that segment other than I'll pay for anything Pat McAfee. I still can't find For the Brand shirts, and apparently they're fucking everywhere, and I can't find them. I don't know how to find that.
I'm burning them. I'm buying them in advance of you and burning them.
Oh, you're just shutting down the websites.
So
Just fucking DDoS attacks left and right. Just make sure I can't get to it.
I'm gonna have to like put up-
Kevlar.
Good.
Go ahead. Kevlar says he would like to finger poke a Doom too, or neither of them show up for the match, which actually that would be funny too. If they're just like a ref just confused, like no one showed up and they go to the back and they're just back there drinking or something. Little bit of the what do you guys think? What do you guys think of Ciampa versus Velveteen Dream? I thought the match was better than I thought it was going to be. I guess I just don't know where they're going with it. I've never been a big fan of Velveteen Dream to begin with, so when he does things that are over the top, it just seems like more Velveteen Dream stuff. Although he does seem a little toned down, which I like. We've talked about that before. He should tone down a little bit. But yeah, I mean, the match itself was good, but I guess the story behind it is just flat to me. I mean, what do you think? Clump, we'll start with you.
I mean, it's hard for me to get invested in Velveteen Dream, and I'm just kind of done. I don't. There's a lot of things in and out of the ring that I'm not a fan of with him. So I'm okay with Ciampa winning, but I'm not really
like
invested in this. I mean, it's weird for it to be a main event,
And where do you think it goes from here? Because I think, Amanda, you kind of felt the same. Don't care about Velveteen Dream, so the match was whatever it was. If you even sat through the whole thing, I wouldn't blame you if you didn't. Not that it wasn't. Yeah, I mean, not that it wasn't good, but it also doesn't have your interest. So it kind of is what it is. And like I said earlier, there's plenty of great matches to watch all day long. I don't need to watch one more that I don't care about.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, I don't know why I probably wouldn't have had that main event.
Yeah, I thought that was weird.
Just didn't seem. I'd rather probably would have had Dakota Kai and Ember Moon main event over this. And
that was a bigger surprise.
Mm-hmm.
I felt like that was definitely a bigger moment, Dakota winning over Ember than Ciampa getting a win over Dream. Where do you go with Ciampa from here? I mean, for me personally, I feel like Ciampa and Gargano are like 6-year high school seniors. Like they just won't fucking leave.
Mm-hmm.
And I got it. I understood it when they were traveling. And I know Ciampa saying he didn't want to live that road life, but right now no one's traveling. So could you flip and flop back and forth? Maybe, I don't know. So I don't know how any of that stuff works. I don't understand contracts, but I don't know where you go from here that makes me ultimately super interested in Ciampa outside of him just being Ciampa.
15 minutes ago.
Yeah, I mean, where does he go? If he doesn't go, if he goes on the main roster,
that's pretty cool.
Him and Gargano. It's well, what are they going to do?
Yeah.
Probably nothing.
Yeah.
And it's a waste. But then it's like, okay, yeah. So when you're getting, so when people like, I don't know, like let's say, because I guess he was in this last class. I'm gonna pick on him, Kurt Stallion. So when Kurt Stallion's ready to go on TV, and you've had, Ciampa and Gargano there for like a billion years, like,
Mm-hmm.
well, what do you do now? Are they just there to take on like the Chris Hero role? Oh, sorry, Cassius Ohno. Are they to take on that role? But it's hard to say. So 'cause they're both so talented, but where do they go? Because there's spots for some of these other people that are there. Might not agree with it, that can move up, and there's something for them. But with those two, that's like a waste. And that's why, for me, I was always like, don't sign over there, because they're not going to know what to do with you.
But as you said, is also they knew exactly what to do with them for like 3 years, and they built NXT's brand off of Ciampa and the Gargano story.
Mm-hmm.
But that's all culminated and come and gone, and it's like that was a fucking masterwork of storytelling.
Yeah, and you're here still.
Yeah, but now you're just still here. Like I don't know what to do with it. Clump, what do you think? Where do you go from here with Ciampa to make people interested again in Ciampa outside of him just being Ciampa?
I think you need to inject him into I think you need to pull the trigger on him going for the belt again, going for Goldie.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think you've killed that. I think that works. I mean, he brings a level of like crazy intensity that's amazing, and I think it'd be neat to see him go for it. And I don't know, heel or face. He's fantastic. I think he is, to me, he's probably, with Walter, my favorite performer in WWE. Like, honestly, he's just that good. He's at that level. He's that consistent. The Fiend's up there too, but the Fiend is new. He's there. So yeah, I'd like to see him go there. I don't know if I want him on the main roster. I think he works well at NXT, but just to see him go for something, I don't see him and Velveteen Dream together being good. I applaud them for trying to create a storyline that has stakes that's away from belts, because they can do that, but Ciampa's been very good at making stories matter away from belts. Maybe it's time to give him a space where you can understand why he matters away from a belt.
I wonder if some of this is a holding pattern because Balor got hurt. I wonder if Ciampa was next.
Yeah.
But I also think that Ciampa would have just been fodder for Balor to get through while they wait for Karrion Kross to come back. Because I felt like they were going to go to Balor versus Kross. I don't know, man. I just feel that, I know it sounds weird, but I feel like that the spaces in NXT are so limited, and I feel like there's so much more room on the main roster to be a part of smaller, but also significant storylines. Like it or not, Retribution is a significant storyline amongst young talent who are not privy to TV time, who are learning a lot right now from more seasoned talent. You know what I mean? Like, whether you like the story or hate the story, it's really good for the talent involved in that story. You know what I mean? Where I feel like, I don't know that Ciampa's bringing anything like that to NXT at this point, and there's really small main event scene there. You know?
Yeah. But it's also, I think, in some ways, it speaks to a weakness of WWE's. It's a very small main event scene, but is it? You know, like, there's so many people at this, like, kind of cusp of being able to get into that main event scene, and they're so good at quickly bringing people up or knocking them back, bringing them up, but not knocking them down, that it works really well. You know, they're really good at, like, pacing things out, putting people together, pulling them or bringing, uh, separating them, and keeping interest in so many people that, I mean, hell, I don't really care about Dexter Lumis, but Dexter Lumis had a featured match, and Dexter Lumis is here. I don't really care about Thatcher, but Thatcher is there, and they're doing that very well. The Raw and SmackDown rosters have very, very large groups of people, but it doesn't feel like a lot of them mean shit. So I'd be worried, you get what I mean?
Yeah. Amanda, what do you think? Because I think me and Clump are seeing it a little bit differently, but I mean, I get what you're saying. I'm not disagreeing with you. I think we kind of sit a little bit different on it, though. Amanda, what do you think?
I don't know. There's some people who, because I always kind of sometimes question like why some people go up way prematurely before others. Like, because I know I'm gonna pick on Ricochet, and the guy is talented, yes.
Yeah.
Horrible, 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 horrible. Do not give that man a microphone. I'm like, oh God, no, please. When I see that, I'm like, oh God. That's why he needed to stay back, because that's his Achilles heel right there. Like, I don't buy it. I mean, I'm sold, and then you give a microphone. I'm like, oh no, go back in the line. And whereas you have someone they're grooming, like my favorite wrestler, the Roman Reigns of ROH, David Priest or whatever his name is over here, like he's obviously groomed. It's like like. I mean, he was being groomed at ROH. He had this very similar moveset to Roman. So it's obvious where that's going to go. And he'll project and go to the moon because, that's what they like up there. But, there's a lot of times where there's some people that it's like, damn, you're just going to get left in the dust. Because if you bring them up, what can you do with, at the end of the day, all these guys, they just want to wrestle. Some don't care. They're like, I'll just take a check and that's cool. But the majority of these guys, it's like, that's what they want to do. And I don't care if that was like a dream or whatever. They want to be in WWE. Okay, that's fine. But at the end of the day, it's like, if there's no place for you, then whatever. Because I will say that I'm one of these people that was totally disappointed about Finn Balor when he went And then when he went up to the roster, I'm like, what are you doing with him? Not much.
Well,
And so it's
he
very
has a real
disappointing.
weird story too, though, because he showed up, NXT was on fire, made it what it is, gets to the main roster, and within a year holds the new Universal title, and they were going to strap, like, that was a lot of weight on his shoulder they were willing to give him and let him run with it.
Then he broke his shoulder.
And then that shoulder happens, which, I mean, it's also at the same exact moment, and it's just like, did the footing ever get back? And it's hard to say that that's isolated to Finn Balor, because, I mean, look at Kevin Owens. He lost the title to Goldberg and never got a rematch and didn't have another shot at the Universal title, I think, ever again.
Yeah, Sami Zayn.
You know what I mean? Sami Zayn.
I'm like it's one of those ones where I'm kind of like, man, like, so much you could have done and you can do, but it's like, do you wait for someone to die? Or, no. Because even if someone dies, that's not going to change everything. Everything's not going to change in, like, a snap. It's like NXT UK. Like, okay, well, you signed pretty much almost every British wrestler you could have.
Yeah.
And then obviously there was ones that did not want to sign, and I'm very glad that they didn't, because I don't think they'd be there. I'm talking about Zack Sabre Jr. Because that was one I'm like, please don't sign. I'm like, please don't, because there's nobody that's like him on the roster at the time.
Yeah.
And I'm like, and that's not going to go over well, because the fan base doesn't like stuff like that. They don't like that text submission. I mean, it's taken a while for a lot of people to catch on to it, but that's one of my favorites. So, I mean, obviously, like, for me, that's like really near and dear to my heart, but that's a hard sell. Everyone wants strong stuff, but and flippy shit. But now the flippy shit's going away. It's like, okay, well, what's next? So I think that it's hard, because I don't think that they're as diverse as they should be. I'm not saying AEW is diverse, because they're not. Nobody. I don't think the only product right now that's maybe kind of a little bit diverse, I'd probably say would probably be Impact's a little diverse.
Yeah.
And then what they're doing with New Japan USA, that's pretty diverse too.
All right. Well, I think we're not going to figure it out tonight. We're not going to know what to do with Ciampa, but I think that, like you guys have both said, as well, as we're still here for it. We're happy to see him, and we don't want him to go away. We just want something to click and make him fresh again, I think. I don't think that I had anything else on either of the shows, unless there was something that you guys wanted to make sure we touched on. Was there anything, Clump, that you thought we're missing?
I think we're doing okay. I'm good.
You're good? You got everything? Amanda, was there anything you were coming to the table with that you feel like you didn't get to serve up?
No, I'm just curious what you guys are thinking for Full Gear. Some predictions. I know we want that eye poke really bad.
I want the Poke of Doom.
I'd really like a definitive heel turn between Kenny and Hangman. I'd like a definitive win between one of them. Personally, I would prefer Kenny to win. Because I think more like American audiences need to see what makes him important, and I think this is a great stage for that. But if Hangman wins, I'm not gonna be upset. If Hangman wins, I'd love Kenny to just straight turn heel and fully turn heel, and see where that can go. I'd love to have somebody who's in, like, maybe further push the idea of him being an EVP and be an absolute shitty heel EVP. I'm okay with that.
Can you imagine if Hangman Page wins and then Kenny Omega beats the absolute shit out of Page and, like, kayfabe injures him, and then now you don't even have your number one contender because he's been injured by the guy who lost?
Yep, and he gets to
So now-
choose his number one contender.
Or now Kenny just takes that spot because Page is injured? Like,
Yep.
what a fucking heel shit thing to do. That'd be fucking dope.
Yeah.
I'd be all right with that.
I'll clean the situation up.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Don't
those
worry.
two dancer ladies,
Fucking dancer ladies.
I don't know what they are.
Sheeta and Nyla, are you guys, like, what do you guys think about that?
That's a hard one.
Yeah.
I don't care, and that's on them.
No.
Yeah, I think it doesn't matter to me because we don't see the women's champion so much at all. I think I'm more curious in the NWA Women's Championship with
Yeah.
Allison Kay and Serena Deeb. That's going to be on the buy-in.
Mhm.
I personally would really like to see Allison Kay win it because I think it'd shake up stuff even more as having a free agent have the NWA title. I think Serena Deeb's going to keep it though.
Yeah.
If we were to run through my predictions real quick, I think Moxie's going to keep it, but he shouldn't. I think Kingston winning would be fucking huge for business. I think Darby's probably going to win. I think Paige is going to win, or I think Paige is going to lose. I think Omega's going to win that one, but I think that I prefer what you just said: have Paige win, have Kenny injure Paige, and now Kenny gets the next title defense or gets the next title shot anyways because Paige can't compete. I think Matt Hardy and Sammy Guevara should not be in the ring together, so I'm not even gonna mention that one as far as what I think. FTR I think should win. I think they probably will win because I think Young Bucks are trying to pull a Cody thing where it's all like, look, we're EVPs, so we don't want it to seem like we're just gonna strap the belts on ourselves. I think that by doing that though, they're really just kind of like they're undervaluing the star power that they could have had. Pretty sure that's a quick sentence she wants to say.
There was a line Cody said that he said, I spoke to the EVPs.
Yeah, that was weird.
We were confused.
When he said that he recruited solely Darby Allin, he goes, and I pitched you to the EVPs, and I was like, you are the EVP. And you said you did it on your own.
That was a
What
weird
was this
promo.
pitching? Yeah. Jericho and MJF, I don't think I could care less about. I do want it to be a finger poke of doom. And Orange Cassidy and John Silver on the buy-in is probably something I won't even watch. So,
Oh, that's not. That's on the main. That's on the actual pay-per-view now.
they moved it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, fuck
Well,
the NWA.
Then I just found, yeah.
Billy Corgan,
fuck
there you go.
NWA.
Yeah, no. Which
Well, then I found where I'm going to do my bathroom break. That's fantastic.
there you
Great
go.
news.
You have 2 bathroom breaks.
Yeah.
The Nyla match because nobody. I mean, honestly, like
Yum.
I don't. Who cares? I mean, I don't care. I'm not invested.
Might recommend ordering Arby's. That way you have 2 bathroom breaks.
Ooh.
No.
Breaks on breaks on breaks.
I hope we
anything you
get
wanna-
like some
go ahead.
weird Taz sexual shit.
Yeah.
I hope
Look at
Taz
that.
comes out with a bottle of Vaseline.
Yeah, we're going to do this, Cody.
Just like starts coating his like just sticks his fist and you're like, oh no, Taz, no.
While he's reaching in the Vaseline, you have Ricky Starks roll out a twister mat.
Oh no.
Yeah, that's how you do it. That's how I feel about it. I am gonna watch it, so we'll see how it goes. I'm gonna say this real quick, just because we have SmackDown coming up right now, and I want to make sure that's definitely been on here first before anyone else talks about it ever. We mentioned it on the last show, guys. We figured out how to book Bayley and Sasha to WrestleMania, and it's just this easy. Bayley wins on SmackDown, gets the title back. Now Sasha's never retained again. Sasha takes a hiatus because she's sad or gets injured or something. It doesn't matter. Now you have Bayley and Asuka at Survivor Series. That wipes November. Don't even worry about it. Now you've got December and January for Bayley to be in a program with Carmella because Sasha's out of the picture right now. Carmella wins the title at Royal Rumble, and that's why Bayley was never in the Rumble to begin with. So now Rhea Ripley can go ahead and win the Rumble like everybody wants anyways. And now Carmella's your champion. You've got Bayley goes to Elimination Chamber in February, and she wins the #1 contender spot for WrestleMania. She's ready to go. Boom, you get to Fastlane in March. Sasha Banks wins the title off of Carmella. Pazam, WrestleMania, Sasha versus Bayley. Sasha's first attempt at retaining the title because she just won the title. Now she's going to have a match for it to retain it. She retains at WrestleMania. Boom, everyone goes home happy.
But you'd have to go cross country to see that because LA's good.
Yeah, no, I'll catch COVID for that. That's not a big deal.
Or,
Clump, what do you think?
but why not do Charlotte versus Rhea too? Both belts.
With both belts.
Because fuck you.
Yeah, just scoop up that other title. Doesn't even matter. Throw Asuka in that one too.
Yeah, throw Asuka in there.
No. Guys, I think that's last call unless there's something else you guys want to bring up.
Follow, subscribe.
Don't forget fan fiction.
Yes, anyone who's got any erotic fan fiction?
Well, I'm
involving
writing it
wrestling,
now.
go ahead
has to
and
be
send that
passed.
to us or Amanda Jane. We will be reviewing it. We'll go ahead and see if we can't get a wrestler to read it aloud. We'll put that as a separate episodic thing on our YouTube, perhaps, maybe not on our podcast channel. So if you're going to want to see that, you're going to want to go to wrestlingontherocks.com, find all of our links, and follow and subscribe to everything. Give it the rates, give it the reviews, give it the stars. Give us the old little bell to notify you when we're doing stuff, because you may be too drunk to remember, but you don't want to miss it, that's for sure. Guys, I think that's last call. Is that a yay or a nay? What do we got?
I'm down.
Raising their cups.
Yeah.
I couldn't see that. Guys, that's last call. Cheers. We'll see you after Full Gear. Have a good night.